naval base there, its first permanent military facility in the Middle East since it formally withdrew from the region in 1971. Bahrain's been heavily criticised in the past over its human rights record. An audit of more than 30,000 shops and restaurants in the UK has found that 1 in 5 is inaccessible to wheelchair users. Only 15% had hearing loops, and 3/4 of restaurants didn't cater for those with poor eyesight. The Minister for Disabled People, Mark Harper, said businesses must do better.
1 in 5 people have a disability or health condition, and effectively these businesses that aren't accessible are turning away quite a lot of potential customers who would be delighted to come and spend money in their businesses running up to Christmas.
New Street Station has assured rail passengers that they can cope with crowd control at weekends. Last weekend, passengers complained when almost 250,000 people went through the station on Saturday alone. The Christmas German market and football matches are two of the main factors. Peter Hughes from West Midlands Rail Future says hopefully the station has planned ahead.
This weekend, Villa are at home on Sunday. Sunday could be quite bad this weekend, but I'm sure the stewards will cope. The trouble with Sundays is there are fewer trains, and we need them to be running earlier in the day, and we need longer trains as well.
Police in London are hunting a thief who appears to hypnotise his victims. The man has been caught on CCTV taking cash from the pocket of a man working in an off-licence in Highgate. The thief is seen chatting to the shopkeeper, who then seems to be motionless. The employee only comes round as the thief leaves the shop. Look at the weather. A cold day today with some winter sunshine. Top temperature today 6 Celsius, 43 Fahrenheit. Tonight will start dry, then rain and strong winds will spread overnight. The rain will clear by dawn though. Minimum temperature overnight 2 Celsius, 36 Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice. The Voice. The Voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Right, shall we go through the list of what we're talking about today and tick off every phone-in radio standard that we're hitting? Right. Jihadis, tick. Pedos, tick. Rock stars getting hit in the knackers while playing. What? It's a story in the papers, guys. Oh, yeah, and left-handed people are not as good as right-handed people. I think that's the story, isn't it? Go away, you freak. Probably can't call them freaks anymore. 03453 009956 if you would be so kind.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453 009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Pedos and Jihadis. Pedos and Jihadis. That's going to be the title of my autobiography when it comes out, I think. As per usual, on the show yesterday, I got criticism for doing stuff that apparently people weren't interested in. I don't know. You can call in about whatever you want. That's the rule, is I will throw this stuff out and we will talk about stuff. But if you've got other bits and pieces that you want to talk about, then do. Because, the last hour of yesterday's show took a very random tangent, didn't it? A random tangent, a ranget. He never called us, did he? Which is great. Oh, he did call us, apparently, but we didn't put him through. Well, that's great news. Someone's learning. It's just not him. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. Kind of the big local story of the day. It's in a lot of the papers, nearly all the papers. At the front page of the Birmingham Mail. 2 terrorists jailed for 13 years. Sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? That sounds all right. 2 Birmingham terrorists were today each beginning jail sentences of almost 13 years after they admitted fighting jihad in Syria. Former school pals Yusuf Sarwar and Mohammed Ahmed, both aged 22, were caught after Sarwar's mother contacted anti-terror police. He had told his parents he was going on holiday to Turkey, but she discovered a letter from her son in which he said he wanted to die as a martyr. So they went over there. And there's pictures of them with rifles and things like that. They went over there because they wanted to fight with Al-Qaeda. That was kind of it. 03453 009956. Hard to argue with the sentencing, isn't it? Well, Then there's kind of a letter from the mum, who reported her son, because he left a letter saying, "Mum, this is what I've done, and this is where I'm going, and this is why I'm doing it. I'll have a little fight for Allah in it." That's what kind of was the message, basically. Well, she has apparently the mum has apparently written a letter to CAGE, which is an organisation which campaigns against aspects of counter-terror legislation. "My son was ushered into pleading guilty to going to Syria and is now awaiting sentencing. However, he has not committed any offences, killed anyone or fought against any armed forces. He has simply secured areas, dug graves, fasted and given food to areas which were in need of dire help. The reason I am writing to you is about my son, Yusuf Sawa. I feel prison is not the answer. Neither is my son radicalised, neither is he a terrorist. Yes, he went about helping in the wrong way, but has suffered repercussions. There's more of the letter, and we'll read more of it as it goes on. But do you have any sympathy for the mum? I guess you kind of have to have sympathy for the mum, don't you, to a certain extent. She didn't want her son to go off and do all of this stuff and go and fight in Syria. So when a kid does something that is against the parents' wishes or the parents' upbringing, you sort of have to have sympathy for them, don't you? But the mum is requesting that her son doesn't go to prison. I urge you to push this initiative forward, she continues. I feel it would benefit people who have good intentions. When will this initiative be implemented? Now, I don't know. All I've got on this story, what's in the Birmingham Mail, which says they were terrorists, and this letter from this mum that says, well, no, actually, they weren't terrorists. The front page of the Birmingham Mail has the two gentlemen standing there holding big guns. I don't know, are they rifles? I don't know what a gun... Machine guns, maybe? I don't know. I'm not too hot on my guns. It's a long time since I played Call of Duty. And if you're going to kind of help the poor downtrodden people and dig graves and fast, why do you need to have a picture of you pretending to fire a gun? I don't know. 03453 009956. Do you have sympathy for this mum in this situation? Do you agree with her that her boy shouldn't have gone to prison? Or do you think, do you know what? No, tough. He shouldn't have gone over there. And should everybody that goes over to Syria be sent to prison when they come back? Supposing they are over there just helping. How do we know the difference? How do we know the difference from if they're just helping to if they're being a terrorist? I don't really understand it. Is everyone that goes to Syria a terrorist? I guess that's kind of the question, isn't it, to a certain extent? 03453 009956. Did these two young men need to go to prison? Sentenced for 13 years. Michael Ivers, who was the lawyer for Sawa, said one of the reasons he left Syria was because of the rise of ISIS. He could see the way things were going and he wanted no part of it at all. The defendant is British and he is proud to be British. He is proud of his grandfather who fought with British in Kenya. He is not somebody who is alienated. He has enjoyed the tolerant society he lives in. At the age of 21, he was a quiet young man. The references show that is not somebody who would even get into a fight. Feel sorry for these guys? Do you feel sorry for the mum? Vince is in Selly Oak. Morning, Vince.
Morning, Iain.
I'm kind of scratching my head around this because I don't have all the facts. All I've got is what's reported in the newspaper and the letter from the mum. So what do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm the same with you, but what I will say is this. They're now complaining about the sentence, apparently.
Yeah.
But people should sit before they start coming out and signing up for them. I'd like to know, think how many women and children have these two killed? We don't have the facts on that.
Well, as far as we know, all the evidence in the court suggests that they killed nobody. That the lawyer read from a written basis of plea in which it says that all they had to do was patrol duties around a house used by volunteers and humanitarian assistance at a building that was being attacked.
But they were still armed, weren't they?
Well, there are pictures of them holding guns, yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a picture of holding guns, so as like that armed, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I have a picture of me holding a gun. Doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean I'm armed, does it? It means that at one point when someone had a camera, I had a gun.
Yeah, but, what proof have they got that they were doing humanitarian help?
Well, there you go. I don't know.
How many more people are out there? Did they give evidence to,
Do you, these two chaps got arrested because the mother of one of them handed the letter in to the police saying that he'd gone off to Syria. Do you feel sorry for the mum, Vince?
I feel sorry for the mother because of she's now without her sons for that, but I don't feel... I find it very hard to feel sorry for the two people that have been sent down.
But is everybody then that goes to Syria a terrorist?
No, I mean, we're not only Islamists go to that part of the world, are they?
Say that again, Vince.
We do have aid work.
Okay, so is it every Muslim that goes to Syria is a terrorist? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that not everybody that goes to that country go there to do this.
But then how do we know? How do we know?
We do have Christian helpers or people from other religions that go over there to aid workers, don't we?
Yeah, but Muslims go over there as aid workers as well. How do we know? How do we know when someone is coming back from Syria? How do we know that they've been doing humanitarian aid as opposed to terrorism?
They've been questioned through the laws of this land, and they've been up into the in court through the laws of this land, not guilty until proven. What is it? Not guilty until proven guilty, or something like that.
It's something like that, Vince. Not guilty until proven guilty. That's exactly it, really. Thank you, Vince. The thing is, how do you know... And I'm not sticking up for these two lads. They've been found guilty, they've been sent to prison. But how do you know when someone comes off a plane from Syria... OK, there's no direct flights from Syria, I know. Let's indulge me slightly. What were you doing in Syria? Oh, humanitarian aid. Oh, OK, how do you know? How do you know that they weren't committing acts of terrorism? What is the criteria? The chap there just saying, well, you question them. Well, were you a terrorist? No. Me? No. I was helping orphans. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Through you go. OK, so there's so many questions here, and I don't quite know what I want to focus on, so I'm going to a scattergun approach, if you don't mind indulging me, right? First of all, these two young lads, two grown men, sentenced to 13 years. Do you have any sympathy for their mum? You have to have sympathy for their mum. Not her fault. She's the one that reported them to the police. 03453 009956. And how is everybody that comes back from Syria a terrorist? How do you know that they've not been at a training camp? I can't quite get my head around this. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. You can text me as well. I prefer phone calls. Loads of texts yesterday. I prefer the phone calls because then we can kind of... With this one, I don't really know what the answer is. More importantly, I don't know what I'm thinking. So if you phone up, we can kind of help each other get to a conclusion by the end of the show, possibly. 03453 009956. BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel. Here's Liz Saul.
Thank you, Ian. Good morning. It's looking problematic around Rugeley. The A51 remains shut in both directions because of a serious accident which happened in the early hours of this morning. The road remains shut between Green Lane and Sandy Lane, the A460. Traffic is starting to look a bit busy in the area as police direct you around that closure. It's affecting you between Rugeley and Cannock this morning. Not too bad as you head into Birmingham. It's eased off on Hagley Road. It's also moving well on the M6 as you head through the Birmingham exits. The M5 also moving nicely as you head towards Junction 3 of the Halesowen turn of the A456. And it's all back to normal on train services between Birmingham New Street and London Euston. There was an incident at Coventry, but that's all been sorted out. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 Travel 08453 002288.
Today from 3.
We're desperate to get a win.
Here, live FM commentary of Hull City versus West Bromwich Albion.
We certainly had a lot of chances. It's important that we start taking some of them.
On DAB in Birmingham, here Lee Clark faces old team as Blues go to Blackpool.
Yeah, we're certainly going to be more than a match for any side in this division.
Cottrell left-footed, in off the crossbar!
Wolves versus Bournemouth is live on DAB in the Black Country and Freeview, channel 722. Then I'll take your calls and reaction to the action.
We can't score. There's no creativity.
What on earth was he doing?
All the action starts with my show, Early Kick-Off from midday.
BBC WM
95.6. Ooh, it's Daz Hale. Ooh, 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 it's Daz Hale. I've written a Daz Hale song. Ooh, it's Daz Hale. Ooh, 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 it's Daz Hale. Daz Hale was a baby when he was giving blood yesterday. Did you hear him giving blood on Danny's show? What, baby? I've given blood loads, yeah, I give it loads. I don't mind. Daz was such a baby. And then there's this awful... I'm driving along. The image you don't want put in your head is Daz Hale flexing his buttocks. He had to clench and unclench his buttocks to get the blood out. Oh, dearie, dearie me. Daz will be on later. No doubt we'll have a little chitty chat with him and find out exactly what he's up to. 03453 009956. Big local story. It's on the front page of the Birmingham Mail. It's in most of the other newspapers in one form or another. The family of a man who's been jailed for 13 years for terrorism offences in Syria say they feel betrayed because they cooperated with the authorities. Nahin Ahmed, who's 22 and from Birmingham, was sentenced with his friend Yusuf Sarwar, who travelled to Syria with him. Well, the mum of Mr Sarwar reported them to the police. She found a letter in her boy's bedroom and gave it to the police, and that's why they got arrested. And she feels that maybe they should have been given a slightly different sentence. Well, Kerry Bullivant is from Cage, which campaigns against aspects of counter-terror legislation, and joins me now. Morning, Kerry.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you very much for joining us. So, what do you make of this story then? Are we right in saying that the mum of Mr. Sarwar is disappointed that her son got a 13-year sentence?
Well, I think you've got to take it into context with other convictions that have happened recently, and with the fact that Sue Southern and the West Midlands Counter-Terrorism Police have been asking families to come forward. And when they ask families to come forward, they say, look, if they haven't done anything wrong, we'll take other approaches. It doesn't necessarily mean criminalisation. And then as soon as families respect that and try and do that, they see their children locked away for 13 years when the judge said they pose no threat to the UK.
Are you concerned, Kerry, that this sentencing might prevent other families from stepping up and going to the authorities?
Well, what we see constantly is a double standard in one thing that the police are saying to the Muslim community, look, engage us, interact with us, we don't want to criminalise you. And then every time they do, we see massive prison sentences handed out. Remember, this came in the same week where an EDL supporter who had a bomb with 187 pieces of shrapnel in it, he had an actual bomb and he got 2 years. These guys left Syria because they hated ISIS, because they didn't like to see the rise of ISIS, left because of that extremism, came back and faced 12 years in prison. It's ridiculous.
There's pictures of them holding rifles and machine guns. Why would they do that if they were just there for humanitarian reasons?
No, they were quite open that they were there fighting Assad. They didn't have a frontline role, but they had a supporting role in the fight against Assad. Remember, Assad's a brutal dictator, and this is one thing that Cage have been advocating for a long time. There's a difference between different organisations. Not everybody who's out in Syria is a member of ISIS. These guys left Syria because of the rise of ISIS, because they couldn't stand them. The fact of the matter is, Assad has killed over 250,000 civilians, and he's a brutal dictatorship. And 2 years ago, it was British policy to support the rebels.
You said the judge said that these gentlemen posed no threat.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you get that from? Because I've got a different quote from the judge here. Let me read this to you.
Go on.
The judge says, in sentencing the two men, he said, they're persistent... I'm going to sneeze, hang on.
Go on.
Excuse me, Kerry. Dearie me, how inappropriate. Third one for luck. I do apologise.
You have to sneeze and you have to sneeze.
Stop sneezing, Kerry. Sorry, this is a really serious issue and I'm sneezing. Sorry. He says, their persistent commitment to terrorism leads me to the sure conclusion that they are dangerous and I should pass an extended sentence. They willingly and enthusiastically embarked on a course intending to commit acts of terrorism. The consequences for them are dramatic and distressing for their families. That doesn't say to me they don't pose a threat.
There's no evidence shown in court, and there was no even accusation that they intended to do anything in the UK. The judge in that instance is talking about their will and desire to go to Syria to engage in fighting against Assad. As I said...
But then why would he use the word terrorism? They are dangerous. I should pass an extended sentence.
Well, it's clear that the judge felt that this was a very serious case. I would hold a counter view that the problem here is that our terrorism legislation is written far too widely. For example, by all normative standards of terrorism, what's going on in Syria against the Assad regime, and I differentiate here very clearly between other things that are going on and the defence against the Assad regime, and the normative and even academic standards, it isn't terrorism in the sense that it's not even asymmetrical warfare. It's not targeting of civilians on the side of the rebels. This is a civil war between people defending themselves against a brutal regime.
But it's not quite as clear-cut as that. It's not the good guys versus the bad guys. It's the bad guys versus the not quite so bad guys and some guys that are even worse, isn't it? It's not, it's not black and white.
No, I entirely agree. It isn't black and white. There are many different groups on the ground with many different sort of positions. Some of them are bad guys. Some of them are not so bad guys. Some of them are actually good guys. The fact of the matter is the worst of all of the guys is the Assad regime, which has killed 250,000 innocent civilians. And many people went out there at a time when it was in line with British foreign policy to overthrow Assad. Remember, William Hague was saying that we need to support the rebels with non-violent aid. And it's in this climate that these guys went out. When they saw the rise of ISIS, when they saw the rise of people who were indiscriminately murdering people, they said, this isn't for us. And they came back. And what did they face?
Well, one of them brought back... Why would one of them bring back a memory disc to this country which had detailed instructions of how to build an improvised explosive device? What would the point of that be, bringing that to the UK?
Well, as I said, the situation for Muslims and non-Muslims when they get caught with things like this is very, very different. The EDL supporter didn't have a memory disc; he had an actual bomb.
Yeah, but these guys have come.
He faces 2 years.
But the thing is, I agree, Kerry. I agree that guy should get longer. But these guys have come from Syria, where they've come from Syria. They've brought back instructions on how to build a bomb.
The CPS, in this case, made no accusation, no claim that there was ever any plan or intention to attack anyone in the UK.
The judge says it was a particularly disturbing feature of this case.
If you read even what their mother said in the open letter that's been released, she said they spent most of their time actually digging graves and doing support work.
But Kerry, come on, if I killed someone, my mum would I'm not saying these had, but if I did something terrible, my mum would come up with excuses and be on my side. We can't really take that into that much consideration. The judge says having this disc on how to build a bomb was a disturbing feature. So we don't know that they weren't going to do things here.
Well, the fact is there was no evidence they were planning to do anything here, and it's a criminal offence to have that, and they should have been sentenced for that. And the sentence for that is much less than 12.5 years. The fact is that this sentence is entirely disproportionate for any crimes that they may have committed.
The defendant for Mohammed Ahmed said he was essentially a good young man who's allowed himself to be radicalised. So he'd been radicalised, and that was his his lawyer saying that.
I think the fact of the matter is here that in this country, our response to people returning has been very different to other countries in Europe. for example, Denmark and Germany, have taken people who have returned voluntarily because of the things that they saw and put them through reintegration processes rather than criminalisation processes. And even the ex-head of MI6 and the ex-head of MI5 have both said that people returning from Syria under these sorts of circumstances are the golden goose when it comes to de-radicalisation. Seen the horrors before and chosen to come back because they didn't like what they saw. So surely these are the people that would actually be people who are credible when it comes to de-radicalisation, rather than the government prevent stooges that we've got at the moment.
They'd found traces of military-grade explosives on their clothes and other belongings. Thousands of photographs recovered from a camera which showed them in a war zone setting posing with weapons, including AK-47 rifles. Mr. Sarwar wrote a letter saying, the real reason I've gone away is to do jihad for Allah, to defeat the enemies of Islam, and to apply the law of Allah. None of that concerns you. The language or the explosives found on the clothes.
As I've said, for the criminal activities that they did have, for example, the materials relating to having bomb-making things, those crimes carry with them sentences. Generally, in these cases, and there have been many of them.
Yeah.
For example, people who download the Inspire magazine, they can generally be looking at 4 to 5 years imprisonment.
Okay. And do you think
a 12-and-a-half-year sentence is wholly disproportionate compared to what these people have alleged to have been involved in.
So, Kerry, just in conclusion, you think a 4-year sentence would be more appropriate, or even less than that?
I think that they should have been sentenced in line with the norms of the crimes that they committed, rather than this wholly disproportionate 12.5 years.
Kerry, good to talk to you. I apologise wholeheartedly for sneezing over you. That's very rude, and it's never happened before.
Unavoidable, unfortunately.
Good to talk to you this morning. Thank you very much indeed. Kerry Bullivant from Cage. 13 years is too much. I genuinely don't know. Genuinely do not know, because I don't know the ins and outs of the stories. All I've got is the report in the Birmingham Mail, which is excellent. You guys are lucky to get the Birmingham Mail. This is a good paper. I've been in other parts of the country where their local papers are rubbish. So 03453 009956. There's so many questions here, aren't there? Do you feel sorry for the mum? You have to feel sorry for the mum. And the mum is pretty much always going to defend her boy, isn't she? If I went out and committed a heinous crime, my mum would give me a right stern telling off, probably a slap, but she'd also stick up for me. She'd also find a way to justify it and stick up for me. That's kind of what mums tend to do most of the time. She kind of handed him in. She expected, by handing in the letter to the police, that he would be, I don't know, de-radicalised. He would get a lesser sentence. I don't know. Do you feel sorry for the mum? 03453 009956. Do you agree with Kerry that the fact these lads have got such a big sentence will stop other families from going to the authorities? And how do you know if someone coming back from Syria is a terrorist or has been out there helping orphans? 03453 009956.
Iain Lee.
On BBC WM.
95.6.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
Let's go to... Harry's been on the longest. Malcolm, stay there. Tony, stay there. We'll be with you in a second. Go on, Harry. What have you got?
Oh, only for a minute. I've just been listening to what's all been said, and obviously the mother is going to stick up for the son. My mother did it for me.
Why, what did you do?
Well, I served in the British Army, served in Egypt and that.
Oh, yeah.
And through some circumstance, I missed a train. I was picked up, taken back to camp.
Yeah.
But before I went, I said to the sergeant, escorting me, can you drop me off at town, because I haven't seen my mother for quite a while. Very, very good. That's very good. When I got home, my mother saying, son, don't go back, da, 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 you know, as if I was a hero and everything.
Wow.
And I got in more trouble than with that. And listening to what's being said now, obviously the mother's going to stick up for the son, but all the evidence was against both of these fellas. They shouldn't have gone. We're not involved in it, and we've had enough in our country for different wars and everything to have to listen to.
Let me put this to you, Harry, because I'm reading more of this letter from the mum, OK?
Yeah.
Right. Is it... do we treat Muslims differently from other people? There's a part of this letter that says... Mr. Siddiqui asked why the government has threatened to arrest British Muslims who return from Syria while it allows young people to fight for Israel and other countries with impunity. So, British Israelis could go off to Israel and fight for Israel and come back, and that's fine. So why can't British Muslims go to Syria to defend, their Muslim brothers and sisters and then come back? What's the difference?
Well, any British bloke can go to Syria and fight, which they have done in different parts of the country. Go as, what do you call them? They volunteer to go, but they give cash to,
mercenaries.
Go out there, and when they come back...
Yes.
And I know in one instance where the guy, he was that good that they well, in actual fact, the people he was fighting, they copped hold of him and just shot them. That was it. And with these lads here, they're lucky to be sent to bloody prison.
Harry, thank you very much. Lucky to be sent to bloody prison. 03453 009956. It is different, isn't it? You go off to Syria to fight against Bashar al-Assad, who was... Is he our friend or our enemy this week? I can never quite keep up to date with it, because we were going to go and bomb him, remember? Was it last year, 2 years ago? We were going to go and bomb him, and the Parliament voted no. And I think he's our friend now as we battle ISIS. I don't really understand what's going on. It's quite a mess. But if you go out and fight against Assad and come back, you go to prison. If you go to Israel and help defend them or fight against the Palestinians, you come back and everything's fine. You get waved through. What's the difference? Malcolm's in Bourneville. Good morning, Malcolm.
Morning, Ian.
What you got for us, boss?
Have you got rid of them flowers from that studio making you sneeze, have you?
Do you know what? I've never ever sneezed on the radio before.
No, that's Molly leaving them flowers behind me.
32 years of broadcasting, that's the first time I've ever done it. Unbelievable.
Anyway.
Yes.
The way I haven't heard much about what's been going on with it, but if they
You're
went
the perfect
there,
person to comment on it, then.
Yeah. If they went there at the beginning to fight against the dictator Assad,
yeah,
with when the rebels broke away, and I think, well, to me that's all very fine. Right. But I think if that happened and they done that, and then this ISIS came in, and then they thought, oh, we're not having none of this, and then decided to come back, then to me that's okay. That's anybody that goes to fight against ISIS or any dictator anywhere, to me, has got my support.
But that's what they said happened. This was their defence in court. They came back.
It's proving it, though, isn't it?
Exactly. How do you prove that they left because ISIS were getting a little bit too frisky? You can't prove that, can you?
No, you can't. You see, unless any of the countries have got any undercover people working with ISIS who can, like you see on the TV and the films,
like in 24.
You don't know, do you?
Home Front or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's it.
Like that, we must have people in ISIS, mustn't we? We must have spies in there.
Probably. Well, I should think so. I mean, it's a bit silly if we ain't. I mean, like people have been saying, it's no good just us talking about it. Anybody can talk about everything, but not doing nothing that's it, isn't it? What's the point? What's the point in talking about it if we're not going to do anything?
Do you feel sorry for the mum in this, Malcolm?
Oh yeah, the mum. Yeah, yeah. But like's been said before, the mothers would stick up for their sons, wouldn't they? About whatever it was.
She went to the police and reported her son. Should that affect the sentencing at all?
I don't know. Maybe it should affect it a little bit. Perhaps I don't know. I'm not too sure about that. What that sort of thing was. But to me, I suppose anybody that's willing to go and fight against any evil like that, whether it's a dictator or ISIS, needs thanking in a way. But it depends on how if that bloke said he'd get radicalised, and whether they come back here and start trying to do the same here. See, this is what they're all panicking about, isn't it, really?
Malcolm, are you a lefty or a righty?
A lefty, I am.
Really? No, I mean... okay,
what do you mean?
In terms of using your hands...
Oh, righty.
You're a righty, okay.
Yeah, I was right, yeah.
Left-handers... research carried out says that left-handers tend to die 3 years younger than normal people.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's a worry, isn't it, for them?
Well, it is, I suppose, if you're a left-handed person.
Malcolm, thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. There's a great story about lefties and righties in the papers today, or as I like to call it, weirdos versus normal people. And lefties are more likely to die 3 years younger. There are other facts. If you're a lefty... I can't walk up the stairs without being out of breath, Producer Joe, that's correct. That is why on Tuesday I am starting a fitness regime with a personal trainer. And by this time next week, I'm going to be buff. I'm going to be as buff as... Tony's in Albury. Good morning, Tony.
Morning, Ian. Just congratulations on a great show, mate, and great topics you bring up every now and then.
Every now and then. Thank you, Tony.
I basically live Albury, but I'm just on my way back home, mate. Coming back up.
What you got for us?
Right. The mother, right, in my eyes, she the only reason that she's shocked him, right?
Yeah.
Because she didn't want him coming out home and getting killed out there, you see. It's one of those, like you see, you got them four that was down in Portsmouth, I believe. There were 6 of them that went out, 2 of them had come back. They get to go to jail. And then the other 4 got killed out there. That was in the news yesterday. But it's exactly the same, mate. 13 years isn't long enough, really, in my eyes. Well, I was listening to the last bit of your... when you talked to the man when you got the memory stick with stuff on, they got photos of with AK-47 and that, mate.
Yep.
They don't go out there for... posting with pictures for nothing, mate, you know what I mean?
Well, we spoke to Kerry Bullivant from Cage, which is kind of campaigns against counter-terror legislation, and he said there was no evidence that they posed a threat to life in the UK, that they hadn't actually fought, they'd been there for humanitarian reasons and to defeat a dictator.
Yeah, but like you know, you're saying as well, I listened to the last bit of it, right, when I come into the area, They've got pictures with them standing with AK-47s.
Yeah.
If you're out on humanity, you wouldn't be standing out having photos taken with AK-47s, would you?
Tony, listen, it's not a great line, so I'm going to let you go, but thank you. There's pictures of me holding a gun. I've held guns. No, there are actually pictures of me. I've got them on my phone. Pictures of me holding a gun. And I had a bit of a beard. Should I? What does that prove? It doesn't prove anything. All it proves is that at that moment when I held a gun, someone had a camera. It doesn't prove I intended to go and do harm, do a Mumbai-style attack, to be a terrorist. I just had a gun. Why did I have a gun? I was clay pigeon shooting, which it turns out is brilliant. Isn't it brilliant? I never thought... Just indulge me 1 second, please. I never thought that I've never really been into guns. I like playing kind of computer games. I like Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto, all that stuff where you run around with guns. I love all of that stuff. But I'd never really been that attracted to actually firing a gun. I went and did clay pigeon shooting. Flippin' heck. Oh, it's... sexual's too strong a word. It's a very powerful feeling. You feel the kickback. You feel powerful. You feel... It's exciting. It's exciting firing a gun. 03453 009956. Oh, yeah, by the way, someone told me that they can hear everything you say through my headphone. Yeah, I meant to mention that 2 weeks ago. Producer Joe. If you're listening on DAB, you'll be able to hear the instructions she gives me. It's true. It's true. Terry's in Perry Bar. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning. Normal's just a setting on the washing machine, mate.
Here we go.
Well, I was on my way to a tabletop sale, but I've had my winter fuel payment this morning.
Oh, beautiful. What are you going to spend it on?
Well, I don't know. A few spliffs wouldn't go amiss over Christmas. Sorry.
I don't know what on earth you're talking about, kids. This man is a lunatic and is a fiend of many different descriptions. Ignore everything she says.
Just leave it at that.
Yes.
What I rung up about, and I know you're going to totally disagree.
Oh, okay.
You know this Christmas song, Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogues?
Yes.
It's supposed to be voted the best ever. It's tedious. Christmas is supposed to be très joli.
Yeah, well, très joli. Well, the thing is, because I don't know what the rule is. I remember about 2 years ago, the BBC weren't allowed to play that song because it's got the word, and I'm going to say it, faggot in it. In the derogatory sense, not as in a tasty meat morsel, but in the derogatory sense of the word.
Well, that's what annoys me. I mean, if it's, meant in fun or they're sending it up, OK, but derogatory,
Yeah, but it's a good song. Oh, I miss Kirsty McCall. She was good, wasn't she? It's a good song.
It's a funeral. Sounds like a funeral dirge.
It's better than a lot of those other Christmas. Mistletoe and wine. Oh, do me a favour.
Oh, God, where's the sick bag?
Do me a favour. Most of those Christmas songs are tedious and limp and light. This has got balls, Terry. This song has got balls.
Yeah, but I'm going to listen to my Oscar Peterson Christmas album, Diana Krall. How about that for a Christmas album?
Funny you mentioned this. Was this the survey that was in the Radio Times, Terry?
I don't get the Radio Times, I get the cheap one.
Here we go. Because this is in the newspapers today. Did you read? This is great. Didgeridoo-nuts. Didgeridoo-nuts. Radio Times puts Sex Shame Rolf's song in Christmas poll. Radio Times bosses were criticised yesterday for putting a Rolf Harris song in their poll to find the top Christmas number one. The Listings magazine withdrew the convicted paedophile's 1969 hit Two Little Boys from the online vote after admitting the mistake. Yeah, I don't... Guys, the song happened. The song happened, as did Gary Glitter's Another Rock and Roll Christmas. Do we never listen to those songs again?
Well, I don't believe in censorship. Well, as far as children are concerned, yes, but that is blatant censorship in it. I mean, OK, the guy's done his time or whatever. Let's not judge.
I would let one of the victims said, I would let any organisation know that using any of this is supporting a paedophile and supporting his disgusting behaviour. If any company support Rolf or those of his ilk, I encourage the public to take a stand and boycott the product or publication. So there are now calls from a victim of Rolf Harris to boycott the Radio Times because it included Two Little Boys in its Christmas poll?
Oh, no.
I guarantee, Terry, if you go into a Christmas shop or you go to a Christmas party, at some point you will hear Another Rock and Roll Christmas by Gary Glitter, because it is on all of those Christmas compilations, right? And it's a blooming good song.
So what you're going to do, you're going to have a little man there dressed in an elf suit pressing the button to just edit that one out. I mean, you're talking about paedophilia. I've got strong feelings on that. That should be put up against a wall and shot. But this country is totally paranoid about paedophilia. I think there's one hiding behind every bush.
Yeah. We're talking... Well, do you know what? Interesting, we're talking about paedophiles a little bit later on, and whether those people who look at images, sexual images of young children, whether they should go to prison or whether, here we go, Terry, whether they should be helped on the NHS.
Oh, no, they ain't having my money. Just lock them up for life or shoot them. I'm sorry, I've got strong views on that. You might disagree, but...
If they've never offended... Right, we'll talk about... Well, we can bring it into the conversation now. It's in The Guardian. Simon Bailey, who's Chief Constable of Norfolk Police, and is one of the experts on child protection, suggests that those people who look at images but haven't actually, touched any young children, that they should be treated as patients by the NHS rather than sent to prison.
Well, yes. I mean, if they haven't actually done anything, I mean, that is debatable. But I think, it's in its early stage and help would be a good thing. Prevention is better than cure.
And that's the thing, isn't it? If there is a way of not curing them, because I don't think you can be cured of being a paedophile. I think it's a sexuality in the same way that heterosexuality, bisexuality, homosexuality, those things they are innate and you can't necessarily change them. And I think it's the same with being a paedophile. You're attracted to children and that's just who you're attracted to. If there is a way of stopping them offending and putting children at risk, then surely treating them on the NHS would be a great thing to do, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but all this different sexuality, using labels again. Labels are for clothes, not people.
Well, I admit there are grey areas that kind of fudge all of those sexualities. It's never 100% this, 100% that, but it is. Terry, listen, nice to talk to you. I've got to move on.
You take care.
Thank you,
Have a
buddy.
good day.
Ta-ta. We had a call that just dropped off there. I don't know who that was. 03453 009956. What a lot of things we covered there. I'll have a recap in a sec. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Liz Saul.
I've got better news for you, Iain, on the A51 in Rugeley. It has reopened in both directions. That accident finally cleared between Green Lane and the A460 Sandy Lane, and traffic is looking much better through there. We're getting word of problems on the M5 South, a lane blocked on the exit Slip Road at Junction 1 for West Brom. A vehicle has broken down there, though traffic seems to be coping OK. We're getting reports of an accident around Penkridge and Boscomore Lane at the junction with Vale Gardens. Police tell us they are on the way to the scene. Your match day travel sees West Bromwich fans heading off to Hull City for this afternoon's game. Blues fans going to Blackpool, and traffic on the motorway routes, the M6 certainly, and as you head up the A38 across to the M1, that's looking OK as well. Just be mindful of ongoing roadworks on the M1, 28 to 31, as you head in that direction and going to the Hull game this afternoon. Still delays on train services between Birmingham and Manchester now. This is because of safety checks on the line. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
BBC WM 95.6 at Christmas.
It's your turn again now, both the congregation and for listeners all around the West Midlands.
Join BBC WM 95.6 for Christmas carol services across the West Midlands. This Sunday, the 7th of December, from 4, we're recording at St Peter's Collegiate Church in Wolverhampton. And on Monday, the 22nd of December, from 1, at St Philip's Cathedral in Birmingham.
Christmas can remind us of the pleasure of giving to others.
And the glory of the Lord shone around them.
Entry to both is free. Christmas on BBC WM 95.6.
OK, so what have we discussed in the last 47 minutes? Shed loads, it turns out. Shed loads. We're talking about these two gentlemen who are on the front page of the Birmingham Mail and in lots of other newspapers today. Mohammed Ahmed and Yusuf Sarwar. They've been sent to prison for 13 years on terrorism charges. But are they terrorists? I don't know. They went to prison because the mum of one of them, Mr Sarwar, gave a letter to the police that he'd written saying where he was going and why he was going. Are they terrorists? We've already spoken to one organisation who thinks that the 13-year sentence is ridiculous as they haven't done anything wrong. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call about that. We've also talked about, we can ask what's the best Christmas song if you want. We can throw that out there. I do like Fairy Tale in New York. It's a good song. I don't know. What is... I'm not going to play it today because I can't be bothered, but what is the BBC ruling? Are we allowed to play it or not? It's like we're allowed to play Oliver's Army by Elvis Costello. And do you know what word's in that? The N-word. Yeah, I know. Now I've said that, no one will be allowed to play it again. Sorry. But the Radio Times is in trouble because they included Two Little Boys by Rolf Harris in a poll for the Christmas #1. Well, really, do we rewrite history? I know we talked about... playing Two Little Boys before, and I have no problem with playing it because I think it's a great song. I also, if I am in a shop or listening to a Christmas compilation CD and another Rock and Roll Christmas by Gary Glitter comes on, I'll have a little boogie with it. I'll have a boogie with my boys to it because it's a good song. And after 10, we'll be talking about whether paedophiles should be treated on the NHS. I know. Oh, look, and I can see Daz Hale putting on his jacket as he gets ready to step out to go and sit at a football match. He's wearing a hoodie to cover his rather shiny, bald head. Is Daz there? Can I get Daz in very quickly? Is Daz shooting off? Can I have a quick word with Daz? I want to speak to him about yesterday. I don't know if you heard Daz yesterday on... Danny Kelly's show. Oh, it was embarrassing. He didn't want to talk to me. Come on, Daz. Come here. Are you shooting off?
Yeah, I'm off, yeah.
Where are you going today?
Today, and this is the first time I've got the big coat out this winter.
I know, look at the state of you. You got your hoodie, you got your coat on, you look like a thug.
I'm off to Costa del Wolverhampton.
Oh, beautiful. It's going to be freezing, isn't it?
I know, yeah.
Have you got your long johns on?
I haven't, but Franksy and Regal will be doing the commentary game.
Yeah.
He wears a onesie. And I'm beginning to wonder whether today could be day one this winter of the onesie.
I'll get some pictures of that. Listen, can I just ask you, why were you such a massive crybaby on Danny Kelly's show yesterday? Oh, I'm getting blood taken. I don't like it. I know, I can't do the Brummie accent.
That wasn't
Make you
I bet Rory Bremner's having sleepless nights after that one, isn't he? Hey?
I can't do the Brummie accent. I'll just go for a Yorkshire.
I'm not Brummie. I wasn't a crybaby. I was a bit nervous.
You were terrified.
Have you ever seen it on the Facebook page?
Yes.
Have you? Loads of biscuits.
Loads
of tea. But no, I'd never done it before. Now, because all week I'd be giving, are you sure you don't mind giving? But I don't mind giving. No, of course not.
Tough guy, yeah.
And then when I got there, I thought, hang on a minute. But it was great, and it was really nice. They made me really welcome. Yeah. And
you clenched your buttocks firmly.
I did. Strictly bum dancing.
Yeah. Oh.
As I
there's an image.
Yeah.
It took you 8.5 minutes though to get the pint out.
Yeah.
Takes me just under 5.
Does it?
I think that means I'm better.
This is competitive. So you a regular blood giver?
Yeah, I love
then,
it. I love it because you come out with a real air of smugness. I've probably saved a baby, or maybe a woman.
Well, but that's the case, isn't it?
It's good, isn't it? Yeah, it's
true. Come out and it did make me feel quite humble and quite.
Have you recovered? You still look a little bit pale.
I am a little bit pale. I had a late night though, and it's not as easy as it used to be. Up in the morning.
Daz, go.
Okay, so Frankie wears a onesie. Pass it on.
See you later. Pass it on. Aren't we old? 03453 009956. If you want to see Daz getting his blood taken, then do go to the Facebook page. It's A, it's funny, and B, it's good. Let's go to Andy. Good morning, Andy.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. My days are always slightly brighter after I've spoken to Mr. Daz Hale.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
He's a legend. What have you got for us, Andy?
Okay, now I've got to jump in on this discussion about the jail sentences on those two lads.
13 years each, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Very, very heavy sentence. And it comes on the same day that the government is announcing that it's doing a deal with Bahrain, which is an oppressive regime, to put military sites.
We're getting some military bases in Bahrain, of all places.
Yeah.
Where we pulled out. I think we pulled out 30 years ago, 20 years ago from there.
That's right. Okay,
71, thank you.
There's a UK government putting in a direct and clear response to what they perceive as a threat, the threat in the Middle East. We know that the UK sold tear gas to the Hong Kong police when they were controlling, and still are controlling, the young people there who were trying to argue, and I was actually in Hong Kong when they occupied, where they were trying to argue for democracy.
Yeah.
And it's okay for Britain to do that and trade with that. But for these two kids who made a choice, and it may well have been a mistaken choice, they picked a side in a world where they are confused about who they should be supporting, to actually jail them and allow these kind of trades to happen is kind of demonstrating what we in education find is a problem. Young people simply don't know who to trust. If it's okay for your government to act in an oppressive way in various situations, but it's not okay for you to make that choice, then it makes young people growing up in our country, particularly the young who may have experienced prejudice or may have experienced deep pressures against their cultures, it makes it extremely difficult not to actually be radicalised, the very thing this government is saying they have to try and prevent. Now, they could have made massive positive use of the experiences of those two young men. The mother set up that situation. She will have been advised by others in good faith that this would be the way it would be responded to. Now, I believe that a fair and egalitarian society would have done that. A totalitarian society, or a society that's shifting towards that, towards a world of censorship, and it's funny you're talking about censorship as well on this. A society that is doing that is moving towards the totalitarian situation that the Hong Kong students face, that the children growing up in this country, facing all sorts of questions about who they should support, you guarantee that people will make choices, and they won't always make the right choices for your government. It is not right that they have been hammered. 13 years is an outrageous response to those two young men. And this government, and in fact it isn't just the government, it's the state, it's the whole bunch of them, because nobody is speaking out amongst the politicians about this. They're too frit that they'll upset those who want some kind of strong reaction from government. They need to be much, much clearer. If we are a fair and just society, that case should be revisited, that the sentences should be reconsidered, and the rehabilitation of those young men, and by doing that, by definition, the education of young people, and let's talk about Birmingham, young people in Birmingham, will be greatly enhanced. An enlightened government would do that. A totalitarian government will knock people, they will slam them in jail for 13 years. I feel that has to be said, because I've seen what's happening out there, in the world out there. Britain is playing its part.
Okay. Andy,
and it confuses kids.
Let me interrupt. Just wherever you were, just move back a bit because your line's going slightly, and it's interesting what you're saying. I just want to bring Tony into the conversation. Tony, you've just heard what... hello, Tony, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You just heard some of what Andy was saying, that this sentence is unfair on these two young men. What do you think?
I don't think it's unfair. What they do need to understand, what your other caller needs to understand, this is deep-rooted. This is a religious thing. Sunni and Shiites. We've walked into a war that's existed long before us going into these countries and dealing with these situations. These two have obviously gone to Syria, whatever their motives are, but the heart of their belief is that there's a fight going on in Syria and in Iraq, which is Sunni and Shiites. You also made a comment earlier on. Why is it that people from here go to Israel and fight, yet we do nothing to them, and then those who go from here and fight in Syria, they're worlds apart? Israel is trying to survive. Since it's been a nation, they've tried to annihilate Israel. Okay,
Andy, hang on, Tony. Andy, I can hear you chuckling at that. Come back and talk to Tony.
Me. Hey, listen,
he can chuckle as much as he wants.
Don't people believe everything
the
that's
facts.
in the papers? The
Tony,
facts.
you don't read everything about the papers regarding Israel. Don't read everything about the papers about Israel, about the United Nations and all the boycott nonsense that you're on about.
Tony,
what you've got to understand, Tony, this is a religious thing that we've stepped into. It's pre-existed.
You're Tony, aren't you? Tony?
No, I'm on about your friend.
No, he's Andy. Tony, just let Andy come in. Andy, go on. You respond.
Yeah, listen, the argument here is... I agree with the guy there. There are huge arguments to be made about the impact of religious disorder in our world. And he's just raising it there. The issue we're actually talking about is an injustice to those two young men who happen to stand on a view. Tony's got a fantastically passionate view. And he feels he can come on the radio and make that statement. Good luck to him. He made that choice. Those kids made a choice, and they've been slammed in jail for 13 years. That's what I'm trying to say. Not that there is a huge argument about religion. And let's be really careful when judging Israel, because the evidence is pretty clear there. Go and ask a few Palestinians about how they're being treated. And go and look at some of the freedoms that are being suppressed. Now, all I'm saying is good luck to Tony in saying his piece. It's a free society here, except it isn't. Those two lads are in jail for 13 years. Shocking.
Tony, do you want to come back on that?
Yes, of course I do. First of all, I appreciate that those two people have got their own opinions. But if opinions going into an area where they behead continuously people and torture people, and let's talk on a different area. The Christians that are being butchered daily there. Okay? What about these people that are being radicalised? They've gone to Syria. They're even more radicalised, and they're coming back to the shores of a democratic nation that give them the freedom to study their religion.
Tony, let me interrupt.
And then start killing people on the streets here.
Let me interrupt just because I can see Nicole's getting ready.
They should be locked up.
Okay, let me just try and conclude if we can, because I know Nicole's getting ready for the news. Do you think, Tony, that 13 years each for these two gentlemen is an adequate sentence?
A sentence is educating people and then making them see sense. Now, if those 13 years is going to educate these people and make them see sense and make them realise that this is a bigger war than what we assume, then those 13 years, I agree with them.
OK, Tony, Andy, thank you very much indeed. Two very strong opinions. You want to join in? 03453 009956. 13 years. Long enough? Too long? Terrible mistake? 03453 009956.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
We'll take more of your calls on that, and also after 10, should paedophiles be treated on the NHS? It's going to be a feisty morning, I suspect. Here's the news now with Nicole Pullman.
Reports within the past hour from Yemen say government military forces there have carried out an operation to free an American photojournalist being held hostage by Al-Qaeda. A statement on the Defence Ministry website in Yemen says that 10 members of the militant group there have been killed. The fate of their hostage, Luke Summers, who was born in Britain, is not known. The family of a Birmingham man jailed for terrorism offences in Syria says his sentence is unfair. Mohammed Nahin Ahmed and Yusuf Sawa, who were both 22 and from Handsworth, must serve 12 years and 8 months behind bars. After that, they'll be on licence for another 5 years. They told their families they were going on holiday to Turkey, but instead they pleaded guilty to preparing for acts of terrorism. In a statement, Mohammed Ahmed's family said they were shocked by the sentence. Jahan Mahmood works with young Muslim men in Birmingham on anti-radicalisation projects and is a former government advisor on extremism. He told Molly Green that the two men could have been used to deter others from going.
Of course, they've got first-hand experience, so it's important to involve them if they want to get involved. And I would have liked to have seen these two working in Birmingham and sending out a very strong message through the bad experiences that they've suffered themselves.
In other news, an audit of more than 30,000 shops and restaurants in the UK has found that 1 in 5 is inaccessible to wheelchair users. Only 15% had hearing loops, and 3/4 of restaurants didn't cater for those who have poor eyesight. The Minister for Disabled People, Mark Harper, said businesses must do better.
1 in 5 people have a disability or health condition, and effectively these businesses that aren't accessible are turning away quite a lot of potential customers who would be delighted to come and spend money in their businesses running up to Christmas.
Sport, and today's BBC WM 95.6 commentary is the biggest game of West Bromwich Albion's season so far as they make the trip to fellow strugglers Hull. Both clubs are in the bottom 5, with the Baggies a point better off as it stands at the moment. Head coach Alan Irvine says there'll be nothing other than positive in their approach.
The intention is to go and try and get a win, which is how we go for any of the games. We look at the opposition in terms of their strengths, we look at their weaknesses, we try and find a plan that will enable us to cope with their strengths, and we try and have a plan that will enable us to exploit their weaknesses.
And the weather, a cold day today with some winter sunshine and a top temperature of 6 Celsius, 43 Fahrenheit. The evening will start dry, then rain and strong winds will spread overnight. The rain will clear by dawn and it'll have a minimum temperature tonight of 2 Celsius, 36 Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
The Voice. The Voice. The Voice. The Voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
You should take in other religions and treat them as you would want to be treated yourself.
We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC WM 95.6. What a lot to talk about this morning. These two gentlemen from the region who've been sentenced to 13 years each for terrorism offences. Well, what do you think? They got caught because the mum of one of them handed a letter into the police. She thinks the sentencing is unfair. So do some of you. All they did was went to Syria. We don't know exactly what they did when they were out there. Is everyone that comes back from Syria a potential terrorist? Also talking about left-handed versus right-handed people. There's one of these things in the newspaper where there are lots of... Apparently, if you're left-handed, you'll probably die 3 years younger than me. 03453 009956. Furore. There's a furore that the Radio Times included Rolf Harris's Two Little Boys in a survey of Christmas number ones. Well, can we rewrite musical history? And should paedophiles be treated on the NHS? Oh my word, this is like radio phone in heaven. Are you listening, LBC? This is how it's done.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453 00
9956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Okay, let me just set up this story a little bit, and then we've got a caller who's anonymous that we're going to go to in a second. But should paedophiles be treated on the NHS? This is a question that's being raised. Is it a sexuality or is it an illness? Thousands who view child abuse images online should be treated as patients by the NHS rather than being sent to prison because they pose no threat to children, says one of Britain's leading police officers. It's in an interview in The Guardian. Simon Bailey, Chief Constable of Norfolk Police, and the Association of Chief Police Officers lead on child protection and abuse investigations, said that while police had a database of 50,000 people who regularly viewed indecent images of children, research suggested that not all were an immediate threat. And also, can you imagine the expense and the cost if the police went and arrested 50,000 people? What would you do? What would you do with it? You couldn't house those people in prison. So would it make sense to treat them on the NHS? 03453 009956. Well, we have a caller on the line who can I call you Steve, anonymous caller? Would that be okay?
Well, you can.
Oh, you're a lady.
Female, so maybe Stevie might be better.
I didn't know. Let's. I'm going to pick a name at random. I'm going to pick the name Anne, and I pray to God that's not your real name. Anne,
No,
tell me your background, please.
I work in the field of treating men who've been convicted of sexual offences.
Okay, what do you think about this? This suggestion that maybe some people who have. I was going to use the word only. I'm going to take that word out. Who have looked at sexual abuse images of children online should be treated on the NHS as opposed to being sent to prison?
I don't know whether there's a place for it in the NHS per se, because I don't think the NHS is geared up to understand or provide the intervention that's needed to look at this particular area. So I'm not convinced that the NHS would be the direction to go. Certainly from my experience and in the work that I do, men only get any intervention and any assistance and understanding of why they're engaging in that behaviour once they're in the criminal justice system. So you have to be convicted in order to undergo any treatment, any intervention to enable you to understand how you've ended up in a situation where you've been convicted of looking at indecent images of children.
So how would you get to those people before? I would imagine that there are a small percentage who realise that what they are doing is not normal, is not socially acceptable, and want help themselves.
Right. I can knock that out of the wood straight away. The majority of men I work with know that what they're doing is wrong.
Right.
There's very few men that end up looking at images of children and think that what they're doing is okay. They know it's not okay. What they will have done is they'll have gone through an internal process that allows them to justify why what they're doing is not causing any harm, why it's okay to look at an image. And I think that's why I texted in, because what I have real issue with is people saying that looking at images, well, if they've looked at images, they haven't actually done anything wrong yet, because that's one of the strongest justifications men will use that allow them to then look at images. All I'm doing is looking at an image. It's a picture. It's not real. It is real. Behind that picture is a child who's been abused.
It's not a victimless crime at all, is it?
Sorry?
It's not a victimless crime at all, is it?
It's not a victim. Of course it's not a victimless crime. In order to produce images of children being abused, you need children who've been abused. And for those children that grow up into adults, in my work and my experience and my knowledge of victims and survivors of abuse, one of the hardest things is you never know who's looked at your image. You can walk down the road and you never know whether that person has seen images of you being abused. That to me is unimaginable. So to say that men who've looked at images haven't offended really isn't correct. I think for me the biggest problem is that an awful lot of men from ordinary families, ordinary lives, absolutely everyday chaps that you wouldn't look twice at in the street, spend an awful lot of time on the internet using pornography as a way of making themselves feel better about whatever, and it becomes boring, it becomes a little bit staid, and off they go on magical mystery tours. And for a lot of men, it's a buzz. It's an excitement because it's taboo. It's something they know they shouldn't be looking at. They're not all, by any stretch, only interested in children. So again, the term paedophilia is just really unhelpful. That describes a very, very small percentage of men who are exclusively sexually attracted to children. That is not... I've probably met in 15 years of working in this field, maybe 4 or 5 men that I could really say, yeah, you're a paedophile. And I've worked with hundreds, if not thousands of men.
And listen, I really appreciate you texting into the show. Thank you very much indeed. Not your real name. 03453 009956. I'm only moving on because we've got another guest lined up, Professor Don Grubin, Professor of Forensic Psychiatry, Special Advisor to the National Prison Service Sex Offender Treatment Programme. What do you think to this suggestion, Don, that instead of arresting people who look at images of child sexual abuse, they should be treated perhaps on the NHS?
Well, I have some sympathy for it, but I think you need to think through a bit more deeply what he said. It's true that some of these men will benefit from treatment, don't need to be arrested, but a large number of them actually represent a risk to children and will have offended against children. So before you get to saying, well, some should have treatment and some should go to prison, you have to do some sort of assessment to try to distinguish between the two groups.
So there will be some people listening, Don, who think, and I know because one's called in and more will call in, look, if they've got any propensity towards being sexually aroused by children, then we shouldn't be wasting any time on them, we shouldn't be wasting any money on them, just bang them up or hang them, the hang them and flog them brigade. What would you say to them?
Well, I guess that will get very expensive and the prisons will get very full. I think we have to distinguish between those who are direct risk to children and are possibly going on or have already committed hands-on offenses, as opposed to those who are looking at images but haven't caused direct harm to kids, because those you can safely deal with in the community. Now, I'm not saying that what they've done isn't harmful to kids and isn't a problem, but they're not a direct risk and they can be managed in the community. It's those that are at risk of directly harming a child that need to be in prison.
And how would treatment work? How would a medical or psychiatric intervention work?
Well, people aren't responsible for the nature of their arousal. You don't choose to be aroused to kids or whatever. So what treatment would aim to do would be to try to facilitate arousal to more appropriate sexual targets and to try to decrease that arousal to the inappropriate ones. As the last speaker was saying, I mean, most people aren't exclusively pedophilic. They will have arousal to kids, but they'll also have arousal to adults. So you try to strengthen that at the expense of the arousal to children. But what you aim to do is help them to manage their arousal rather than to
and is that doable? Because if someone is sexually attracted to children, that's their sexuality. I'm sexually attracted to women. I would find it hard to maintain, to control that arousal and that attraction. It's the same kind of thing, isn't it?
Well, in the extreme, for somebody who's only aroused to children, they have a number of choices. One is to be asexual, and medication, for example, might help with that. Another is to try to meet that need in more age-appropriate ways. So, for example, they can choose adult partners who look more childlike, who act more childlike. In some instances, they can go to prostitutes and things like that. So there are ways that they can meet their sexual needs, but a choice might be for them to be asexual.
Don, always good to talk to you. I really appreciate your time and your thoughts on this. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Don Grubin. Over to you, dear listener. 03453 009956. Should paedophiles, should people who are sexually attracted to children be treated on the NHS? Or is prison the only answer? Prison wouldn't work because, well, the police have said there are at least 50,000 people they know of that look at child sex abuse images. So there aren't enough prison spaces, but there aren't enough police to arrest them all, let alone bang them up in prison. So what should be done? And don't phone in just with the old they should be shot argument, because I don't buy that. I don't buy that argument. If there is a way to A, help them, and B, protect children, then Don't we need to do that? 03453 009956. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Liz Saul.
Thanks, Ian. As you make your way along the M5 going south, still got a lane blocked on the exit Slip Road junction 1 for West Brom. A vehicle has broken down there, though traffic seems to be coping OK. The accident in Penkridge on Boscomore Lane has been cleared off the road quite quickly between Vale Gardens and Firelance Lane. Police have been to the scene. It is looking busy around Dudley on the A461 at the junction with Sedgley Road east of the traffic lights there. Just seems to be volume of traffic. There's quite a lot of shopping traffic starting to build as you head into Wolverhampton and also around the centre of Birmingham as well. Hagley Road is looking congested as you head towards Five Ways Island, inbound in particular, as I say. Of course, you've got the Frankfurt Christmas Market, which continues, and quite a lot of congestion starting to build around as you head around Holloway Circus, Queensway, and towards the shopping centre there. But busy towards Merry Hill as well as you make your way around Brierley Hill. Again, you've got a lot of shopping traffic about. And your match day travel sees West Bromwich Albion fans heading to Hull City. The A38 and heading towards the M1 seems to be moving OK, and no delays reported along the M6 for Blues fans heading up to Blackpool. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
Thank you very much.
Today from 3.
We're desperate to get a win.
Here, live FM commentary of Hull City versus West Bromwich Albion.
We certainly had a lot of chances. It's important that we start taking some of them.
On DAB in Birmingham, here Lee Clark faces old team as Blues go to Blackpool.
Yeah, we're certainly going to be more than a match for any side in this division.
Cottrell left-footed, yes! In off the crossbar!
Wolves versus Bournemouth is live on DAB in the Black Country and Freeview, channel 722. Then I'll take your calls and reaction to the action.
We can't score. There's no creativity.
What on earth was he doing?
All the action starts with my show, Early Kick-Off from midday.
BBC WM
95.6.
Ooh. It's kicking off on Twitter with me and Suzanne Evans. One, who is she? She's UKIP and she claims she used to work here. She's taken offence to me saying, what was the question? Are left-handers just weirdos? It's a question, not saying it's a fact, although it's also a fact. I'm just asking, are left-handers weirdos? What's wrong with that? Suzanne Evans on Twitter has taken great offence at that. She's retweeted that, taken out a pertinent bit of the argument, never mind, and is mounting her eyrie and in my direction. I put it to you, dear listener. Are left-handers just weirdos? 03453 009956. Yes, but my producer, Joe, is left-handed. It's left-handed and she's weird. I'll be honest, producer Joe is a real weirdo. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to have if you want to give us a call. Come on, guys, lighten up. Lighten up. I say lighten up. We're talking about paedophiles. Should they be treated on the NHS? Difficult to be light about that, isn't it, John? John, what would you like to say?
Oh, yeah. Well, one of your previous callers stated images. Whether or not they look at an image, as long as they don't act in accordance to that image. Yeah. Well, Ted Bundy, we all know who Ted Bundy is, don't we?
Well, just remind those who don't.
Okay, Ted Bundy was a mass murderer in America. He done a research on all rapists and paedophiles and sexual predators. And he came to a case study that these people love form of control. And when he done a case study on every single one of them in prison, and it took a mass murderer to get to this conclusion, and there's a book written by Tim Wildman. And within that book, it clearly stated that every single person that he discovered that was a paedophile, that was a sexual predator and a rapist, were bred on pornography at an early age.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily true, John.
Well, that's what he said. But
that's what Ted Bundy said.
Ted Bundy, if you can read upon Ted Bundy...
Well, I'm not sure I necessarily want to take Ted Bundy's word for it.
No, but we're looking at images. He's stating that whether or not one looks at an image of a young child and then does not act upon it, they're not a threat. Of course they're a threat, because everything begins with an image. Now, these people, yes, they need help, these paedophiles, because sin is sin. But what I'm stating is we also need to deal with pornography. Now, just like a drug addict will start on something small, then go on to something that's more, he wants more of a buzz. Pornography, people need to be educated what the word porn means. Porn means wretched whore. Pornea.
Well, yeah, but John, okay, I don't quite understand the point though. We know what
I'm trying to say. Deal with pornography instead of the $6 billion that are being made for money that's being made at the back of it.
We know what what pornography is. We don't need. What the hell is that in the background?
That's my ringtone.
Okay.
Do you like it?
Not really.
Okay.
It's quite annoying. We know.
Why is it annoying? It's Amazing Grace. John Newton.
It's just quite an annoying version of it. There are better versions.
Okay.
The Glenn Campbell version springs to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. We know what pornography is, and not all paedophiles are raised on pornography. And for some people, pornography is a healthy addition to their sexual lifestyles.
Right. As I said again, your last caller stated it begins with an image as long as one does not act upon it. Last time, one of your colleagues had a radio show, and he goes, as long as you have a sexual urge, go into your room, lock it up, and do whatever you got to do, as long as you don't act on it. Everything begins with a thought. Let's also deviate from the word sex. It's not sex, it's perversion. It's an act that takes a child who's an innocent child who doesn't know anything better, and they totally destroy that child morally, spiritually, physically, mentally, in every aspect.
I don't think
it's
anyone...
not a sexual act. It's an act of perversion.
Well, John, I don't think anyone would disagree with what the results are. But yeah, it's a perversion. But it is also a sexual act. Of course, it's a sexual act by the very nature of what is being done.
The word sex came from.
I don't care.
No. You don't care. It's not a sexual act. It's an act of perversion. As long as we call it black is black and white is white.
John,
let's call this a sexual perversion.
Okay, so it's sexual.
Perversion.
It's sexual. Okay, so you agree it's sexual.
No,
Good.
it's perversion.
But you just said sexual.
It's a perversion.
You just said sexual.
Oh, listen to what I'm saying. It's a perversion.
Yeah, you said a sexual perversion.
Let's call sin, black, white.
Okay. I don't think we need to bring sin into it.
Why not?
Well, because that's implying a judgment made by God, and I don't think that's particularly pertinent to this argument here. Are there other sexual practices that you think are perversions?
Let's stick to the topic and let's not deviate from the topic.
Well, no, I'm just curious because I feel it would be good to kind of get an idea of your whole image.
I'll give you an idea. I gave you an example earlier on.
Okay, are there other sexual practices you think are deviant?
Like I said, let's stick to the topic. We're talking about children. We're talking about children.
But why are you reluctant to answer that question?
I'm not reluctant. I'm a person that's sticking to the topic because it's very important for people to be educated. An image paints 1,000 words. Okay?
Oh, please turn that blooming phone off.
An image paints 1,000 words.
Right.
Now, we are clearly stating that it's okay to have a look at an image, but as long as we don't act upon that
image. Hang on a minute. Who is saying that?
Well, that's what your previous caller said.
No, but, for goodness sake, no one is saying it's acceptable to look at images of child sexual abuse.
Sorry?
No one is saying it's acceptable to look at images of child sexual abuse.
As long as we've cleared that up, then.
I don't think anybody else was confused about that apart
from you. But what I'm
you.
also saying, last time there's a discussion concerning this, and it was stated, if you have sexual urges, regardless of what they are, get into your room, lock the door, and do what you got to do.
Right, well, that's not going to help things, is it?
Of course it's not going to help things. Now, these people do need help, but let's call it what it is. It's a...
Let's not. John, I don't want to argue semantics with you again because it's a really dull. No, you are because you contradicted yourself 3 times already.
I'm not contradicting myself.
Well, you said it was sexual perversion.
In your thoughts, you're saying I contradicted myself.
Well, you said it was a sexual.
I'm telling you, it's a perversion.
John, you said it was a sexual.
It's a perversion.
You said it's a what?
It's a perverted act.
You said it was sexual yourself.
It's a perverted act.
Oh, John, I'm not. This is a very boring argument. Let's see.
It's not a boring argument because it's going on morals, and you can't take the fact that I'm talking straight to your conscience, and I'm telling you what it is. It's a moral. It's an immoral act.
John, calm down.
No, you calm down as well. Because you keep just trying to insult me by saying that I'm contradicting myself.
Well, you said.
No, I'm telling let's call it what it is.
John.
Let's call it what it is.
John, at least.
Is it a perverted act? Answer the question.
John, at least twice you've said it was a sexual perversion.
I'd like to ask you a question. Is it a perverted act?
John, could you just... I'll answer
the question.
I'll answer the question in a second. If you answer the thing I've been pushing to you for the last 3 minutes. You've said at least twice it's a sexual perversion.
Okay.
Thank you. Is it a perverted act? Yes.
Okay.
And it is also a sexual act. Now, what do we do? Let's go back
it's
to...
It's not a sexual act.
You've said it... Oh,
Sex is between 2 consenting adults.
No, it's not, unfortunately. Wouldn't it be nice if it were? John, what should we do with these people?
We need to educate them and tell them what it really is. instead of saying to them that somewhere along the line they're born with it.
And quote them...
Because that's where it's coming.
And quote them lines from the Bible?
No, quote them facts. Quote them the fact that they're control freaks.
But John, if you go up to a paedophile and say, hey, what you're doing is wrong, you're a control freak, do you really think, John, that's going to have any impact on their behaviour or their sexual desires?
Okay, we've
answer the question.
I am going to answer your question.
Answer it now. Don't take me around. I'm getting out of the car. I'm not driving all around the houses with you. Answer the question now.
I'm going to answer the question.
Go on then.
I'm telling you that we need to tell them consciously. We need to awaken their conscience.
You're not answering the question,
We need to awaken their conscience.
John, you're not answering the question.
And they have a responsibility to say that this is a child.
I'm going to give you one more chance to answer the question, and then I'm going to let you go, because this is the most frustrating and tedious phone call I've had in a long time. Do you come on the radio show to insult people?
Do you come on the radio show to insult people?
I'm going to ask this question, John, and if you want to answer it, you can, and if you don't want to answer it, then we'll go. Do you think sitting down with a paedophile and telling them what they are doing is a perversion and is wrong, do you think that will stop their behaviour?
I think it will begin a transition of healing.
Thank you very much indeed, John. If only the world were like that, wouldn't it be a nicer place? If only sex meant an act between two consenting adults. It doesn't, unfortunately. It doesn't. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. If you want to give us a call on that. I'm getting terrible. I'll probably get in trouble now, the new BBC for left-handers. Are left-handers a little bit... Well, are they odd? Are they weird? Is it strange? There's a lot of facts in the papers today about left-handers. Colin is... Colin, you're a left-hander, are you? Oh, no, you're there. Hello, Colin.
Hello.
Are you left-handed?
I am.
Are you a weirdo?
Well, something to figure out.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. You see, people, it's all about having a sense of humour. You're more likely to die 3 years younger than right-handed people.
Well, that's total rubbish.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Go on, how old are you then?
I'm 53.
Oh, OK, fair play. You've got a fair crack of it.
My brother died at 40. He's right-handed, died at 41. So,
right-handers earn 12% more a lifetime.
Bull. That is absolute total trash.
Right-handed...
These people, they're writing the papers.
Yeah.
They've got nothing better to do than slander people. Not in their eyes, not normal. Left-handed people. It's total fallacy.
How has being left-handed affected you, Colin? When you say you're in your 50s.
Well, when I was young, in my younger days, people go, "Oh, caggy-handed, oh, you're something wrong with you," blah blah blah. To me, okay, I'm left-handed.
Yeah.
I didn't choose to be left-handed when I was born. A lot of people don't choose to be left-handed. I mean, in my grandparents' days, my granddad and my dad's side, my grandmother, both left-handed.
Yeah.
Used to go to school, have their hand caned till they couldn't use it.
Yeah.
Because in them days, it was like a right-handed man's world.
Did you? My friend was a left-hander, and they made him convert to being a right-hander at school. He used to get a wallop if he used his left hand.
Well, that's wrong. People don't, as I said, people don't choose to be left or right-handed. You're born like that. But you shouldn't force anybody to, make a.
Do you have all those left-handed can openers and scissors and things like that, or do you try and get by in a right-handed world?
No, I don't use anything left-handed. I can quite happily, go along, living my life as I am. When we watch like a right-handed person, I eat like a right-handed person, knife and fork, play cricket, golf, anything like that. Right-handed doesn't affect me. You don't have to have left-hand this and left-hand that.
Colin, Colin, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Andy's in Willenhall. Morning, Andy.
Hiya, morning. You all right?
I'm all right. It's all kicking off on the blooming internet just because I said that I thought left-handers were weirdos. Blimey. I tell you what, I've said worse in the past. I've said worse than that. If you can't even say that these days, then what's the point?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I mean, everyone's got their own opinion, and now, I mean, I'm left-handed, but I'm not I'm not weird or anything like that, but right-handed people, are they weird?
Some of them are.
Exactly, it's the same as left-handed people. Some of them are weird. Some of them that can use both hands, they're weird. I don't think it...
I'm envious of the ambidextrous people. They're like almost superhuman, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm quite envious as well.
they've got kind of special powers, haven't they?
Yeah, they could probably use their feet as well to write.
Hey, there are some people that can do that.
There is, I think.
Here we go, look, 5 of the last 7 US presidents were lefties. Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama.
And to be honest with you, they've done okay for themselves.
Andy, they have done okay for themselves. Paul McCartney and Jimi Hendrix and Chewbacca are all left-handed.
Well, there you go, exactly, and they've done okay for themselves.
Andy, good to talk to you. Thank you for your call.
Thank you.
Ta-ta. 03453 009956. Have I stumbled across the last great prejudice? The lefty. In terms of hand, not in terms of politics, of course. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call about that. If you want to give us a call about, have you got sympathy for the mum of this lad who's been sentenced to 13 years for terrorism? And also, should paedophiles be treated on the NHS? Ken's in Sheldon. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning to you. Say hello to a superhero.
Are you a superhero?
I certainly am. If you're classed as a superhero, it's somebody who can use both hands.
Flipping it. It's the closest we're going to get on this planet, I think. So you can... Now, can you do everything... Let's be careful. Can you do everything with your left hand that you can do with your right hand?
Yes, I can write with my left hand and I can write with my right hand.
And is it different handwriting?
It slightly leans to one side, but it's perfectly legible. I made myself do it.
What, you taught yourself, did you?
Yeah.
How did you do that, Ken? And also, why did you do that, Ken?
By trying to... I've taught myself... I had an injury to my right thumb, and I couldn't hold a pen all that well. I was only... How old was I? I was about 16, I think.
Yeah.
And... I had this injury, and I couldn't hold a pen all that well. And school, being school as it was when I was at school, if you didn't do your homework, you got a thrashing. So I thought, well, I'll do it with my left hand, and I was trying to do it, and they kept saying to me, "Your writing is disgusting. You better start tidying yourself," and they give you a smack. So I thought, well, stop this. I'm going to try to learn to write with both, and I did. And it was so funny because I took it all through my adult life. And if I was writing something and someone was watching me and I'd take the pen out of my right hand and put it in my left hand and keep going, they'd go, "What have you just done?" I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, you just changed hands with your pen. I said, "Yeah."
Beautiful.
Yeah. And
could you do both, though, Ken? For example, could you play the guitar left-handed or right-handed?
I don't play. I mean, I have picked up a guitar and I've played it both ways, but I can't play a guitar. But I can strum notes out of it. Yeah. Yeah. When I was in the services, it's strange. I used to fire a pistol with my right hand, but I fired a rifle with my left hand.
I'm getting all kinds of abuse on Twitter. My daughter is a left-hander, says Andrea. She is gorgeous inside and out. Yeah. What a ridiculous thing to ask. Oh, guys, for goodness sakes, I'm not saying we should hang left-handers. For goodness sake, you get it, don't you, Ken? It's what I believe is described as light-hearted bants.
Banter, yeah. The other thing, people call them tag-handed. No, that's a mistake, that is. They're not cag-handed.
No.
If you go back, it's cack-handed, really.
Ken, thank you. I think that's helpful. Can I just say, if any left-handed people are offended by my words, I apologise. It's light-hearted, left-handed bants. That's all. I'm not for 1 second suggesting we ship all lefties to the Isle of Wight and leave them there. Just asking, are they a bit, weird? 03453 009956. Keith is in Bartley Green. Good morning, Keith.
How you doing, mate? All right.
Oh, for goodness sakes, aren't people silly?
God, you've caused some trouble today, Iain.
Well, look, I did...
I think you've done a great job. I wouldn't get involved in one or two of the arguments, because I thought, I didn't want to end up coughing and losing my rag, because very emotive, some of the stuff you've been talking about this morning.
Isn't it funny, right? We talked about paedophiles being treated on the NHS. How do you determine if someone is a terrorist or not? And left-handed people. And it's the left-handed people is the one that I'm getting a right battering for online.
Let's call them cag-handed, but As far as I don't want to go down these terrorism roads, but what about people that used to go and fight, let's call them mercenaries in the other countries and come on in?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean say, I don't know, I think unless somebody comes back with material,
yes,
means them that way. But, it's a very we've done some very emotive chats today.
I could do grown up and everything.
Oh, you done one?
Oh, I could do grown up. I was on Radio 4 this week, Keith. I was on Radio 4.
Was you?
Me on Radio 4 on Front Row, the arts programme. I am an intellectual.
Well, that's all right. I don't mind.
And then I dumb it down for you guys.
Were you with Kirsty Young?
No, I wasn't with Kirsty Young. I was with Samira Ahmed, who is equally as delightful.
Ahmed,
yeah. She's bright, isn't she?
Yes. Let me just say this. I mean, and I don't insult anybody. Well, I don't care if I do.
Yeah.
It's my opinion. Just my opinion. Don't get upset.
Okay.
I think Facebook, although the stuff on Facebook is the biggest load of twaddle I've ever heard.
What's the biggest load of twaddle?
Some of the stuff on Facebook.
Yeah.
It is.
Facebook is...
rubbish.
Yeah, what's new about that? Facebook is well silly.
It's rubbish. I'll tell you, some of the things they put on Facebook, I tell you now, it reminds me years ago when we used to go on the CB radios and all the...
you are right. Facebook is the CB radio of the 21st century.
Yeah. And that was a load of... in the end, wasn't it?
I used to love CB radios. They were very naughty.
I like the old AM. I used to go on the old Auntie Mary. And
10-4 for a copy, big buddy.
Yeah. All the insults that used to go over the air.
Do you fancy an eyeball? Do you fancy an eyeball, Keith?
I do, mate. Yes.
Good lad, get in there.
See up the fairy lights.
Hey, listen. There's what's the worst injury you've ever caused yourself?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I've never caused it myself, but I've lost a leg.
Well, you've lost a leg.
I have.
Do you know what? I think you've got off better than this fella in the newspaper today.
Oh, go on.
This seriously, I would rather lose a leg than this. Scrotal agony.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah, he said yes, okay. Right, a rocker. I don't know what you said. If you said a rude word, I apologise to anyone, but I don't know.
No, it's not.
Okay. A rocker ruptured a testicle during a gig, but carried on and finished his set despite his agony. This guy's got the coolest name in the world. Heavy metal bassist Otto Schimmelpenninck, 32, was hit in the groin by a streamer... So I don't think this is funny. Meant to be fired over the band by a cannon. He told fans on Facebook, the 21st century equivalent of CB radio, that his scrotum ballooned to the size of a big grapefruit.
Oh, jeez.
Ballooned to the size of a big grapefruit.
I'll tell you what, he'd be in some pain with that, wouldn't he?
Flip it, wouldn't you just, Keith? Thank you. Seriously, I'd rather lose a leg than have my genitals balloon to the size of a big grapefruit.
Penn, Pensnet, Rugeley, Redditch, Rowley Regis. Have your say across the West Midlands.
BBC WM
95.6.
Let's go to Frida. Morning, Frida.
Morning, dear.
Ballooned to the size of a big grapefruit. Imagine that.
No comment.
No, I know. Isn't it horrible? What would you like to say, Frida?
I'm saying about left-handers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have two children that are left-handers. One is 18
I'm so
and
sorry
one
to hear
is
that.
15.
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
They are bright and intelligent. If any left-handers are out there that comes to talk to you, I bet they are bright and intelligent.
Well,
my son plays the guitar left-handed.
Yeah, I work with one, and she's bright.
Yeah.
As in, like, bubbly. She's bright as in annoying.
Mathematically, they're bright.
Yeah, okay. But that's just... But maybe you've just got bright kids, you know. Maybe your kids are just intelligent. Imagine how much brighter they might be if they were right-handed.
Well, I have got right-handed kids. I've got 5 children altogether, so I've got left-handers and right-handers.
Okay, so you've got 2 lefties and 3 righties, is that right?
Yes.
Who's brightest?
Who's brightest? Well, my lads are more brighter than my daughter. It sounds silly,
right,
but all 4 lads seems to be brighter than the girl.
And how many of those lads are left-handed?
There's two.
Oh, OK, so there's just the lads that are left-handed. So
Two left-handed and
why is
two
Frida?
right-handed.
Frida, why is your daughter so thick?
She's not thick.
I'm sorry, no, I didn't mean thick. Sorry, I meant why is. So how rude of me. I do apologise, Frida. Why is she less intellectual than your brain box boys?
It's because they are absolutely smack on with their maths. Yeah.
Yeah.
They are artistic. Like, well, my daughter is. She's very good in her drawing, but my sons are very mathematic. They do art.
Yeah.
They're very quick on thinking. They're bright. Left-handers are meant to be brighties.
And Frida,
I know.
Frida, you know when I ask, are left-handed people weird? You know that comes from a place of deep love and affection, don't you? Thank you very much indeed, Frida. There we go. Frida taking it in the spirit in which it was intended. 03453 009956. We'll have a look at some text. Did you hand me text, or did I dream that? I think I might have dreamt it. Ken's on the line. Morning, Ken.
Yeah. All right, Ian.
I'm all right, fella. What you got for us?
I'm just going to turn my radio off.
Good lad.
I'm on about the two lads.
OK, these are the two gentlemen who have been sentenced for 13 years. They came back from Syria, and their mum, one of their mums, kind of handed them over to the police, really. What are your thoughts on it, Ken?
Julie, turn that off. My thoughts on it, Ian, are...
Yes.
The judge has made his sentence.
Yeah.
He's looked all through the case, and that's what he has come up with. Now, another thing, people who go over to countries to do, like charity work and whatever,
to
help out, they should go through a proper organisation. And they should be monitored when they are over there with that organisation.
I can't argue with that, really. And these young lads, they're grown men, they're in their 20s. I'm going to stop calling them young lads. They're pictured with guns, AK-47s. They had traces of military-grade explosives, and they brought a CD back that had instructions on how to build an improvised explosive device, a bomb. It's not. I mean, it doesn't mean they were going to do anything, but it's not great, is it?
No, because if they'd have had nothing at all on them, that would have been a different situation. But they've actually had them things, like with them. That means something to me. If you're going to do something, you're going to have things like that. If you're not going to do things, you're not going to have them.
How do we... But Ken, because there are people that want to go over there and help, for whatever, for religious reasons, for social reasons, for whatever.
Yeah.
If people are coming back from Syria, how do we know that they're not terrorists? How do we know they haven't been radicalised? How do we know that their intentions were good and true?
Well, you don't, unless they've gone over with a proper organisation and they've been monitored.
It's a tough one, isn't it, Ken?
Yeah. Can I just say something else?
Yeah, go on, fella.
Well?
Yeah, go on.
You get these organisations, you've been talking to a geezer from Cage.
Oh, yeah. This is the organisation that have kind of been helping the mum of one of these men, yeah.
As all things, like the human rights, the asylum and whatever, the one from Cage, you had him up a corner. He didn't know where to turn, so he was, like going here and going there. He wasn't really asking, answering the questions that you were answering him. And they're all like that. They're all trying to get round it in some kind of way.
Ken, listen, I appreciate your thoughts this morning. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. 81333. Start your text WN. You can also send me emails as well. You've been very quiet on the emails. Iain, IAIN.LEE at bbc.co.uk. Keen to get your thoughts as well on this story we mentioned earlier on about that the Radio Times has been blasted for including Rolf Harris' Two Little Boys in their online poll of the best Christmas #1 songs. I mean, do we have to rewrite history now? There was a furore, wasn't there, recently, in a recent documentary about Genesis that featured an interview with Jonathan King. Well, Jonathan King was integral to the starting, the genesis of Genesis, is what I'm trying to say. Do we have to completely rewrite history? It's always weird. If you hear Pick of the Pops or whatever it's called on Radio 2, and it's a week when Gary Glitter was in the top 10, and they'll go from like number 8 to number 6, and they'll miss out Do You Want to Touch by Gary Glitter at number 7. We can't rewrite history, can we? BBC WM 95.6. Let's get the travel news now. Here's Liz.
Thanks, Ian. It's looking very congested now on the A452 round Sutton Coldfield, Windsor Road, both directions. There's a lot of shopping traffic about, so as you head into Birmingham, Hagley Road is looking busy towards Five Ways Island. Into Wolverhampton, also quite congested around the city, around the Ring Road as well. That breakdown on the M5 exit Slip Road going south at Junction 1 for West Brom has been cleared out of the way, so it is looking a lot better around there. Likely to be busy around Junction 6 of the M42. There's 3 separate events going on at the NEC today, so as I say, that's likely to be busy. Your match day travel for travelling fans sees baggies off to Hull City this afternoon. The A38 and the M42 heading over to the M1 the best route to take is looking okay so far. Just be mindful on the M1 the roadworks between 28 and 31 around the Chesterfield area and heading towards Worksop. Blues fans are off to Blackpool. It's looking okay as you head up the M6 in that direction through the Cheshire stretch and towards Lancashire. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 002288.
Graham Torrington.
Tell me about how you fell in love with a prisoner.
It was when he was released from prison.
You started writing to this guy.
It just happened into a relationship, and 10 years down the line, he's been back in prison.
I believe you had a daughter together, is that right?
Yes, got a daughter together, yeah.
So, although he said he wanted to go on the straight and narrow, he came out, he met up with you, formed a relationship with you, and he went back inside. I believe that was for armed robbery.
Yeah, daughter was 18 months old.
How did you feel about that?
I was absolutely devastated.
Your calls, your stories.
Late night, Graham Torrington.
Sunday to Thursday nights from 10.
BBC WM
95.6. Rocker ruptures testicle at gig. Swells to the size of a grapefruit. Now, the ladies, you won't have a clue what that's like, but flippin' heck! Flippin' heck! Oh, dearie me. We'll talk about a biker's bum in a bit as well, I know. Matt's in Solihull. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning there. I think this sentence is completely ridiculous altogether.
This is the two gentlemen who
you're
got...
just trying to make an example of them, the Birmingham Six.
The two gentlemen who went to prison for 13 years for terrorism offences. Why is it ridiculous?
They didn't commit terrorists in this country, did they? No, they didn't. You see, and I don't think they were about to either.
Well, why do you think they weren't about to? They had a CD that explained how to make bombs.
They just wanted to make an example of them, that's all.
Well, is that
and I don't think they have done any good on it, because if people intend to go there, they will go there. Maybe they will go there more now because of this. Okay. You know, I think if these people got, 12 months probably, and get talking to, and just... then they would know when they got there, they thought we shouldn't have done this, and they'd have come back anyway without their mum getting on to them or anything. They'd have come back anyway.
Both men who were jailed yesterday admitted a terror charge each in July, so they've said they're guilty.
Well, I think they were brainwashed into. Well, the Birmingham Six, they tried to make them look guilty with beatings and everything in the prison, didn't they? You see. So these,
but the Birmingham Six, well, that was a significant number of years ago. Have we? Are you suggesting, Matt, that we haven't made any progress in the legal system since then?
We hear people in the paper saying they should do this. Any people that done that or was involved in them things. I'm an ex-British soldier, and I was stationed in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
So I know a fair bit about what goes on among them. But they're probably all dead.
The judge says, in regards to these two chaps, their persistent commitment to terrorism leads me to the sure conclusion they are dangerous. They willingly and enthusiastically embarked on a course intending to commit acts of terrorism.
But it didn't say they were going to commit terrorism in this country, did it?
But if they've committed terrorism anywhere, shouldn't we be punishing them? Shouldn't we be? And you say they're making an example of them. Well, doesn't the legal system need to make examples of people to hopefully, possibly prevent other people becoming terrorists?
No, I don't think it's going to work that way in this case.
Why? People are always saying the legal system needs to make an example of them. Make an example of them. Well, it's happened in this case.
It is, and that's what they've done. They've made an example of them. I think they shouldn't have, really. I mean, especially their mum that did say she tried to get them back and everything. She certainly didn't expect. I mean, she is a mother like that, and I can assure you that woman isn't involved in terrorism isn't supporting it or nothing.
There is no suggestion at all that the mum is involved with terrorism.
Nor any of her family, and the majority of people that come from their place are not involved at all. There is a few young people that's been brainwashed.
The majority of people from the Handsworth area are not involved in terrorism. You're correct. But just because a mum stands up for her son doesn't mean that the sentence should be any leaner, does it? Really?
Well, she didn't think they'd get 13 years, did she?
But it's kind of her wishes. They're irrelevant in this, aren't they?
Yeah.
She did the right thing. She went to the police.
She would done the right thing, but I don't think she would go again to the police, would she?
Well, no, she may not. Are you worried it might stop other people going to the police?
Anyway, my cat needs feeding.
Okay, bye-bye. Go and feed your cat. Speaking of cats... Yeah? Speaking of cats, do you need feeding?
Yeah.
No, I'm not finished. I'm still riffing. Hello. Speaking of cats, yeah?
It's Katya. Yeah. Oh wow.
Speaking of cats, yeah?
Well done.
It's Katya. Do you need feeding?
No, but I feel like I'm going to lower the tone a little bit here just after your conversation with this lovely gentleman there.
He wasn't lovely. Let's be honest.
Oh, with this.
Speaking of cats, yeah?
Yeah.
It's Katya. Do you need feeding?
I don't.
This is going to be a perfect call.
I thought you didn't like puns.
You're no pun anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Come on. Let's hang on. I've got another one coming.
Oh, well, my cat is coming now at this very moment.
Is your cat coming?
Yes.
This is freaky stuff, man. This is voodoo. This is voodoo. We're doing cat puns, and your cat suddenly arrives on the scene.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it?
It's you and me are gonna have a fun time.
Okay. Have you finished?
No, I've literally only just begun.
Oh dear. I'm afraid. Okay, I know that you like trivia, don't you? Do you? Tell me you do.
Let's just pause for thought.
Yeah.
Let's just PAWS for thought.
Oh dear.
Pause for thought. This is excellent.
No, this is annoying.
I am so excited.
What? No.
This is a good yoke, isn't it?
Yeah, okay.
Katya, what have you called in about, my dear? Because we haven't got much time now. I want to go to Kev.
Whose fault is it now?
Kev, say hello to Katya.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello, Kat.
Hello, you. Hello.
Excruciating.
Okay, let me tell you. I would not get into a metal band if I were a man.
I'll just pause.
Do you know why? Do you know why? It's very dangerous for your testicles. It is. Yes, indeed. Because in 2004, there's a guy called Victor Small.
How do you know I've got any?
Anyway, listen to that. He had a little bit of a pain in his... can I say testicles on the BBC? I probably can. Well, I'm going to do that.
I don't think it's one of them banned words, no.
Okay, well, let's go on with it. So he had a little bit of pain. He went to the doctor. Doctor said, "Oh no, it's fine. Don't worry. Have a little bit of tea. It's gonna be fine. You can go on stage." Then he felt a little bit, not really well. I can't describe the pain because I'm not a man, so I don't know.
That's hard for you, wouldn't it?
I don't know what kind of pain you're getting there. Anyway, and then all of a sudden it burst completely. You see?
Ooh.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. Don't.
What a mess.
Don't go into metal if you've got testicles. That's my advice to you.
I'm crossing my legs here, kid.
What do you... by the way, Kev, I've got to say, a great meow from you. Thank you. What do you mean it burst?
It did, yes, it did.
Flipping, Ada.
I wasn't there, but I read the story, and
Gosh.
it's well known.
That's thank you so much for sharing that story with us, Katya.
Well,
it started off such a pleasant phone call with you doing your annoying cat puns.
Okay.
You're going to watch it with cats if they get their claws out and you can...
Sorry, Kev. Is your mouth anywhere near your phone, Kevin?
It is, yes.
Okay, that's better.
Yes.
I've just been quietly told into a cat. Just go watch cats when they're on your lap and their claws don't burst anything.
No. Right, well, Kev, you listened to Katya's call. Katya, would you like to listen to Kev's call?
Okay, let's do that.
Oh, where you go, Kevin?
Oh. Yes, well, there was a couple of things. There was the left-handies, and there was another thing that I'd like to touch on with you about. You said before the break about the Rolf Harris's and Gary Litter songs being skipped over it.
Yeah.
Which they should. Do you think probably it's because if the BBC did play them, then they'd have to put money into those people's pockets in the form of royalties, and we don't want to be doing that.
The thing is, if we were to play another Rock and Roll Christmas by Gary Glitter, he would probably get about 2.5 pence.
2.5p.
So it wouldn't be a significant amount. I think it's more that we don't want to be seen endorsing or condoning their outrageous sexual behaviour.
Endorsing it, you're right, but I think it's just, you can't change history, but I think people just think, anything to do with them. Nothing at all. Just leave it. Leave it. Don't rewrite history. It's there. You're Jonathan King's, all that. It's there. You can't. But why should we ever listen to them again?
Because some of those Gary Glitter songs are good.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. But I wouldn't want to be putting 2.5p in his pocket.
I wouldn't want to be in his gang. But there you go.
That's right.
Kevin, lefties.
Yeah. I just think what you said. I know it's tongue in cheek. Are they weirdos? But I just find it hard to define what a weirdo is these days.
But there are so. Well, let me tell you, Kev. I've got two of them on the line now. Does that help?
Probably. I'm right-handed and left-footed now. And yesterday, someone called me a weirdo because I like fresh garlic on my toast in the morning, and she said, "But you're weird." Hey?
Katya.
Yes.
Would you like to comment on Kev's contribution?
It was most excellent.
Thank you very much indeed. 03453 009956. I love this show because it kind of starts out with a bit of a direction and then whoosh, it just goes every which way but loose, doesn't it? Right turn, Clyde. 03453 009956. If anyone's offended by me asking if left-handed people are weirdos, I would say, hey, get a grip. Come on, guys. I've said worse on the radio. I know let's all pounce on the BBC, but come on. They're a little bit odd, aren't they? Where does the word sinister come from? Left-handers. That's where the word sinister comes from. It's the devil's work, for goodness sakes. What should we be doing? Telling women to go and breastfeed in a corner in a less ostentatious way? Would that be better? Is that what we should be saying on here? A little bit of politics. 03453 009956 is the telephone number. Let's have a little recap before we go to Nicole with the news, shall we? Should paedophiles be treated on the NHS instead of being sent to prison? The police are aware of 50,000 people in this country that look at images of child sexual abuse. What are you going to do? Arrest them all? I don't think so. Katya, have you gone? Good, she's gone. That's good. I just wonder why she popped up on my screen. We can't arrest them all. We haven't got enough police. We haven't got enough prison spaces. So treatment on the NHS makes perfect sense, doesn't it? 03453 009956. Christmas songs. Was the BBC, or the Radio Times specifically, right to remove Rolf Harris from a survey of great Christmas number ones? We've said this before. It's a great song, and it was a Christmas number one. So where's the problem there? 03453 009956. And how do we tell a terrorist? Was it last week or the week before that was National Anti-Terrorist Week or something, wasn't it? It was a week where we were being encouraged to report suspicious, potentially terrorist-based activity to the police. Well, I don't know what that means. So these two gentlemen who've come back from Syria, been sentenced to 13 years. I don't really know what the evidence is that they were terrorists. 03453 009956 now is an excellent time to give us a call, and we could speak to you just after 11 o'clock.
voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
It's bang on 11 o'clock. Let's get the latest news now. Here's Nicole Pullman.
An American and another hostage being held by al-Qaeda in Yemen have been killed by their kidnappers during an operation by US Special Forces to free them. British-born journalist Luke Summers was kidnapped by militants in Yemen more than a year ago. A statement from the Ministry Defence website in Yemen said that 10 members of the militant group had also been killed. The family of a Birmingham man jailed for terrorism offences in Syria says his sentence is unfair. Mohammed Nahin Ahmed and Yusuf Sawa, who are both 22 and from Handsworth, must serve 12 years and 8 months behind bars, and after that they'll be released on licence for 5 years. They told their families they were going on holiday to Turkey. They pleaded guilty to preparing for acts of terrorism, but in a statement Mohammed Ahmed's family said they were shocked at the sentence. Jahan Mahmood works with young Muslim men in Birmingham on anti-radicalisation projects and is a former government advisor on extremism. He told Molly Green earlier this morning that in some cases young men are being influenced by computer games to fight.
Some of these young guys are playing war games like Call of Duty, and there is a Call of Duty culture, and we call it Call of Duty generation, where they're mixed up with this kind of virtual world and the realities of combat, this glorified image of jihad. And once they get out there, of course, for some of them, it's a complete nightmare.
43 children have been identified by Staffordshire County Council as currently being at risk of sexual exploitation. The authority is carrying out an audit on the work being done to tackle the issue. New Street Station in Birmingham says there won't be a repeat of last weekend when crowds reached almost 250,000. The German market and football matches led to unprecedented levels of visitor numbers to the station. This weekend, crowd control measures are in place. Peter Hughes from West Midlands Rail Future says the redevelopment of the station doesn't help.
Demand is building up, and we do need more coaches on trains, more rolling stock. We need more local lines reopened to take the pressure off New Street, to stop people having to go into New Street because they've no alternative. But that doesn't really meet the point of the overcrowding at weekends. In short term, that'll be remedied by the completion of the station in just 9 months' time.
Football and today's BBC WM 95.6 commentary is the biggest game of West Bromwich Albion's season so far as they make the trip to fellow strugglers Hull. Both clubs are in the bottom 5, with the Baggies a point better off as it stands at the moment. The head coach, Alan Irvine, says there'll be nothing other than very positive in their approach to this game.
The intention is to go and try and get a win, which is how we go for any of the games. We look at the opposition in terms of their strengths. We look at their weaknesses. We try and find a plan that will enable us to cope with their strengths, and we try and have a plan that will enable us to exploit their weaknesses.
The weather, a cold day today with some winter sunshine. The top temperature only 6 Celsius, 43 Fahrenheit. Tonight there'll be rain and strong winds, but the rain will clear by dawn. The minimum temperature today, 2 Celsius, 36 Fahrenheit. BBC WM 95.6 News. There's more online at bbc.co.uk/WM.
Treat them as you would want to be treated yourself. We are even more intelligent. They treated me with the utmost respect.
Iain Lee, Saturdays
9 till 12.
BBC WM 95.6.
And suddenly we've descended into randomness. Oh, a coffee has magically appeared to my left-hand side. Just what was needed. Thank you. How do we know if somebody is a terrorism? How do you spot a terrorist? Is it someone who's just come back from Syria and they've got a beard? I'm saying that slightly tongue-in-cheek, but I kind of mean it. How do we recognise a terrorist? Should these gentlemen have got 13 years? And did they really pose a threat to us? And do you have any sympathy for the mum? You have to have sympathy for the mum, don't you? It's not her fault, is it? I know there'll be some people thinking, well, she must have done something. She must have brought them up somehow in a bad way. Hey, at what point do we stop being responsible for our kids' actions? When they're 16, when they're 18, when they're 22? 03453 009956. Left-handers, aren't they weird? I'm getting attacked by UKIP of all people. She's quite high up in UKIP. She's quite high up. Oh dear, 03453 009956. Should paedophiles be treated on the NHS? Should we rewrite pop music history when it comes to things like Gary Glitter and Rolf Harris? Should we pretend they never existed? I don't think we should. 03453 009956.
Have your say.
Across the West Midlands, call
03453 009956.
BBC WM 95.6.
Do give us a call. You can also text 81333. Start your text WM if you would like to do that. It's the BBC WM 95.6 Christmas party next Friday, and I'm kind of thinking I might blow it out. I mean, I'm not a fan. I'm not very sociable. It's not because I'm rude. I'm just kind of shy when it comes to events. I don't like really events, and I don't listen. Everybody that I've met here, everybody apart from two people, are really, really nice. I'm looking at the two people I'm talking about right now. They're really, really nice, but I don't want to spend an evening with those guys. I'd rather, read a good book. I would rather read a good book. There's this thing in The Sun. Christmas parties can get messy, and then there are something always goes wrong at a Christmas party, don't they? Someone always cops off with someone, or has the last Christmas party I went to last year at another radio station, I was sat opposite my enemy. I've actually got an enemy, my nemesis, and I was sat opposite him. Everyone should have a nemesis. I'm not going to say who it is. It's no one famous. But everyone should have a nemesis. It just makes life that much more bearable. It makes it more fun. Oh, curse you. And I was sat opposite him. And I don't drink, and he was drinking a lot. And he was getting gobbier and gobbier as the evening went on. And I'm sat there. No. And I'm sat there kind of biting my tongue. No, it wasn't that. And in the end, I just told him to F off. I said, F off. You're drunk and you're being silly. So Christmas party, there's always a bit of tension, a bit of argy-bargy. And I don't know if this is the same, if it's what it's going to be here at WM, but the last Christmas party, it was one of those ones where we hadn't hired a venue, we'd hired 2 tables at a venue with two or three or four other Christmas parties. So you're in this room, right, with people you work with, and okay, great. And then like 3 or 4 other companies are there. That's weird, isn't it? That's a weird thing to do. Enforce jollity with people you don't know. You can give us your Christmas party stories if you want. My stunt was the height of insanity, says account manager Toby Aiken. It's full of people like account managers. Who wants to go to a party with account managers? I'm surprised I'm still alive after my Christmas party debacle. He didn't say that. No one says debacle. It was at an office do held at a colleague's home. As usual, the drink flowed. Then someone told me a friend of mine had passed out in the bathroom, having locked the door. I'm a climber. And in my drunken state, I decided the only thing to do was go outside and climb in through the bathroom window. I climbed up a wall, over a garage roof and a shed. I hung onto the ledge of the tiny bathroom and heaved myself up. I jemmied it open, then lunged forward head first. With a thump, I landed in the bath and brought down the shower curtain. I lay there dazed for a minute before realising there was no one else in the bathroom. I'd gone through all this for nothing. This guy is crazy! I'm not that keen on office parties. I'm kind of thinking I might not go next week. I've paid for it. If you go, Joe, could you put my food in a Tupperware box and bring it in for me tomorrow, the day after? Don't you touch my profiteroles. They'll swell up to the size of melons. It's been, by the way, has anybody seen the Star are giving this away? Is this a joke? Dairy milk choc bar for every reader, right? I need someone to go out to a sweet shop for me and have a look at this. Dairy milk mousse snowman, right? Can you go and get one? Because it looks like... it looks like a willy with a scarf on. Have you seen it? From this picture on the front page of the Star, and I was reading the article to try and work out if this was the joke. Dairy milk, mousse, snowman, chocolate bar, looks like a winkle with a scarf round its neck. Has anyone seen this? Am I drunk? Matt, who's answering the phones today, because Bernie, who's normally here, is a lightweight, has gone to get one. But have a look at the front of the Star, or if you're in your newsagents, get one of these things. It looks quite... Honestly, Gary, I showed this to producer Jo, and I said, what does this look like? And she got it straight away. Hello, Gary?
Hello, Ian.
Yeah, I've noticed that the callers to WM are not very good at that.
Very good at what?
Yeah, when I... Nothing, Gary. What have you got for us?
Well, you know your Christmas party you was on about just...
I don't think I'm going to go to the Christmas party here.
There was strangers there.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Was it a party of swingers by any chance?
I don't... Well, if they were swingers, I left before the swinging started. Although there was an empty goldfish bowl in the middle of the room with only a few keys in.
Yours wasn't in there.
No, and some pampas... Was it pampas grass out the front as well? So maybe they were swingers.
Maybe.
Are you a fan of Christmas parties, Gary?
Yes and no, you know. It depends. What?
Are you all right, Gary? You sound like you're struggling to speak this morning. What have you been up to?
No, I'm okay.
You had a drink and anything?
No, I'm driving in the car. I'm driving at the moment.
Bit of the old wacky-backy? What's going on?
No, I haven't. I'm okay.
Okay.
Why does it sound like I'm struggling to speak?
You just sound... I'm not struggling. You sound laid back, very relaxed, chilled, I think the kids would call it.
Oh, that's cool, you know.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's cool, isn't it, Gaz? Thank you. Dave's in Nuneaton. Morning, Dave.
Morning, how are you, sir?
I'm all right, thank you. I've got a long old day. I'm driving down to that London tonight to do a show. I'm doing a show, and I'm a little bit nervous. And my day will consist of finishing this, having a fight with producer Jo, driving down to that there London, stopping at a service station for a nap in my car, and then going all the way to London. Isn't that glamorous?
I just want to fight with Jo.
Yeah, tell me about it. We start every day and end every day. We're working together with a right old punch-up.
Well, I tell you, she certainly sounds cracking in the background there.
Sorry?
She certainly sounds cracking in the background.
Can you hear her talking through my headphones? Can you?
No, we can't, no. She's just answered the phone and she sounds very pleasant.
Dave, just be quiet. Can you hear this? Did you hear that?
You wouldn't have it in any other way.
No, that ain't that the truth. She's looking resplendent in a winter-themed sweatshirt today. Not Christmas, it's just skiing. Just skiing. Dave, what would you like to say?
Well, you're on about paedophiles.
Yep.
Can they be treated in that?
Well, it's been suggested by a leading copper that they should be treated on the NHS.
There's only one way to treat a paedophile that messes around and has anything to do with children, and that's to throw them in with a pack of lions, because they not only ruin the children's lives, they also ruin their own lives, because people come after them once they come out of prison, or if they get off and they don't go to prison. So obviously the houses and whatnot are targeted. So I'm totally against it. I think no sort of treatment on the NHS.
Well, but hang on. If treatment would protect both parties, would prevent children being abused, and stop paedophiles abusing, then why? I can't understand why anybody would be against that.
Well, because it's the lowest category one could ever speak to, is to pick on a vulnerable child.
It's a terrible thing, and I'm not defending what they do. It's awful what they do. But if there is some way that you can protect more children by treatment, then why would you be against that?
Right. So, what environment would you give them treatment in then? I'm not being obnoxious or rude to you.
No, not at all, Dave. And this is why I love doing the shows, because we can have frank discussions like this and then shake hands and walk in opposite directions. What environment? I don't know. In a hospital environment, in a psychotherapy environment, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, I certainly think if they were to be given treatment, they certainly need an enclosed area to make sure that treatment is working and they've got no urges to go after children again.
Dave, listen, I'm going to move on because we've got the travel, but no. Listen, but I can take it as long as you can. This is again another of the joys of doing this show. And Friday afternoons 2 till 4 is we can have frank discussions where we completely disagree with each other. One of us may change our minds, or we may not. At the end of it, we shake hands and walk in opposite directions. Isn't that nice? No, I've never changed my mind, no, because I'm always right. BBC WM 95.6. Here's Liz with the travel.
Ian, we're getting word of problems in the Sparkbrook area of Birmingham. A two-car accident on the inbound side of Warwick Road, the A41, around Albion Road, and it's causing slow traffic and delays as you're having to squeeze by there. Around Sutton Coldfield is looking very slow this morning. Chester Road north in both directions. Around Windsor Road, this is the A452. Reddycap Heath Road inbound is also looking very slow, going around Warmley Road and Rectory Park Avenue. There's a lot of shopping traffic about in the centre of Birmingham. You'll find around Holloway Head is looking busy, and Holloway Circus Queensway. You also find routes into Wolverhampton are a bit congested. It's heavy going as you head off at Junction 9 of the M6, and you'll also find it slow around Dudley at the Burntree traffic lights on all approaches. Around Albury is also congested at the Birchley Island, which is just next to Junction 2 of the M5. Your match day travel sees Baggies fans off to Hull City. No incidents or problems reported along the A38 or the M42 as you head over to the M1, and the north on the M1 is looking all right, but there are those roadworks which continue 28 to 31. Blues fans are off to Blackpool for this afternoon's game. The M6 is moving fairly smoothly as you head up through the Staffordshire and Cheshire stretches. If you can update us, call BBC WM 95.6 travel 08453 002288.
BBC WM 95.6 at Christmas.
It's your turn again now, both the congregation and for listeners all around the West Midlands.
Join BBC WM 95.6 for Christmas carol services across the West Midlands. This Sunday, the 7th of December, from 4, we're recording at St Peter's Collegiate Church in Wolverhampton. And on Monday, the 22nd of December, from 1, at St Philip's Cathedral in Birmingham.
Christmas can remind us of the pleasure of giving to others.
And the glory of the Lord shone around them.
Entry to both is free. Christmas on BBC WM 95.6.
It's Christmas, isn't it? It's Christmas, isn't it? Oh, I don't know what you've just done there, Joe, but you've made me go deaf in one ear. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a cheeky little call. Oh, there we go. I had a button pressed, but I still blame it on you, producer Joe. If you want to give us a call. Your office parties stories. I mean, Christmas parties. It really is enforced jollity. And people get drunk and they come out and they say what they've been bottling up all year. And it normally gets aggressive and obnoxious. It's normally directed at me. I don't know why. I'm a nice guy. Your office Christmas party nightmares, please. 03453 009956. Should paedophiles be treated on the NHS? And I've just tweeted a picture of this chocolate. It's just massive on my computer screen. What were Dairy Milk thinking? I cannot see how that in any way, apart from the scarf, is supposed to be a snowman. This is a proper Cadbury's chocolate mousse snowman. Well, I mean, it doesn't look like a snowman to me. It looks like something completely different. Completely different. A winkle is what it looks like. 03453 009956. Left-handed people, what should we do with them? Yeah. What should we do with left-handed people? Are they a bit odd, or are they the downtrodden, misunderstood minority of this country? 03453 009956. There's a story in the... is Mark our left-handed gentleman? Oh, let's go to Mark Stewart then. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Ian. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much. I'm taking all kinds of abuse on Twitter, perhaps rightfully so, for just asking the question...
Leftfully so.
Yeah, well, thank you very much indeed.
Correctly so.
For just asking the question, are left-handed people weird?
Weird?
Yes.
Definitely not. No.
Well,
But I have to say, first off, that I'm actually not left-handed.
Oh.
Yes. But my youngest son is.
Okay, well, how old's your boy?
He's now 24.
Okay, and how has being left-handed affected him?
Right, well, he was actually looking for a pair of scissors for him when he was 4 that started off our little business in Worcester.
Oh, go on, what's the business? What have you got?
It's called Left and Right.
Yep.
And the website is leftshoponline.co.uk.
Okay, so we'll do... And it sells primarily left-handed things?
Yes. In fact, we're in a sort of... We have a left-handed section within our toy shop. We're a sort of traditional toy shop called Wise Owl Toys, but we have a left-handed section.
Oh, is it one of those toy shops that sells really good old-fashioned wooden toys?
Yes.
Excellent. We like you, Mark. Then you get another plug at the end of this.
Thank you very much.
So what? Hang on, let's go to the toys then, because I've got 2 young boys, 4 and 2.
Yep.
What if they were left-handed? What would they struggle with? What would you be able to provide them?
Certainly with scissors. For the 2-year-old, possibly scissors, the first ones.
Yeah.
Anything that encourages a good grip as far as the handwriting is concerned is really useful. So for the 2-year-old, there are some really nice triangular felt-tip pens and also ordinary pencils. For the 4-year-old, what you need to appreciate is that as right-handers, when we write, we're always going away from the writing. The left-hander comes from behind. So if you don't adapt the technique, when they get on to 8, 9, 10, start to use a fountain pen, can find they're going over it and smudging it and making an awful mess.
Yeah.
So any good habits you can encourage early are really helpful.
Because I remember the left-handed kids at my school, there was always a weird kind of hunching going on, wasn't there? As they were sort of leaning over their work.
Yeah, I mean, you try it yourself. If you have a piece of paper straight in front of you, and pretend that you're writing left-handed, the angle of the arm means you're probably going to go over what you're writing. Now, in the past, teachers said you weren't allowed to turn your paper. You've got to have your paper straight for some daft reason. And what happened, the only way to get round that, particularly if you're using ink, was to actually hook over the top.
Yeah.
Now, that, what I would suggest, is not a more natural way to hold your wrist. And obviously, if you're going to be doing a lot of writing, that can cause real problems.
I've just worked out I'm quite good at writing left-handed. I've just been able to write and I can read it. That's not bad.
Impressive. But what we have done, my wife and I, we've written some handwriting books to help left-handed children. We've designed a mat, and in fact, I run courses on helping left-handed children for schools and other groups.
To schools, because I'm sure this has gone. I've got a friend who, when he was at school, was a lefty, and they made him write with his right hand, and it's kind of
my father-in-law was forced as well.
Isn't that funny? Why would they do that?
Well, sheer ignorance, frankly.
Yeah.
It amazes me that you've got some likes of really famous left-handed people, Leonardo da Vinci, Picasso, I believe, and then you've got Barack Obama, Clinton, Prince William, Cameron, people who have obviously succeeded, and yet for sort of Joe Blogs, they were told, oh, no, you can't use your left hand, you've got to use your right hand, and for some, it was actually beaten out of them, literally beaten out of them.
Yeah.
And you're messing around with the brain, and it's sheer ignorance, really.
Does being left-handed have any impact on anything else? Does the brain work differently?
Well, certainly it's the right hemisphere of the brain which controls the left side of the body. The right hemisphere is dominant for music, art, creativity, and even, I'll say this quietly, genius.
Oh, hello.
I know, slightly worrying. But, for example, apparently there are about 75% of architects are left-handed. And my left-handed son, aged 3 or 4, did a drawing that had perspective in it.
Wow.
Frankly, I struggle to draw matchstick men, but, they certainly tend to have their own skills and abilities. It tends to be the sort of practical skills where left-handers can struggle. We use Velcro for my son's shoes because tying shoelaces was a bit of a nightmare for him.
Now, why would that be? Why would tying shoelaces be difficult? Because shoelaces aren't sized.
Right-handers were shown a certain way, and if you try it as a left-hander, you're having to do things in a different way because your hand is, where we would do something with the right hand, they want to do it with the left, and so it can end up being messed up. Left-handed knitting and sewing, but what you can do. with quite a lot of craft is sit a right-hander opposite a left-hander and doing a sort of mirror image.
Well, this is how the Beatles used to write their songs
yeah.
together. John Lennon would sit directly opposite Paul McCartney and would learn chords, and then they'd write song together, kind of mirroring each other.
Yeah, quite a few years ago, I had an email from a young girl who'd been told that she couldn't play the guitar left-handed, which was obviously a bit ridiculous.
Well, it's nonsense,
Paul McCartney can. So
yeah.
I think, unfortunately, that was down to a teacher who didn't really have an understanding of what was needed. But
Mark, give us plugs for your businesses again, please.
Right, certainly. Well, the toy shop is wiseowltoys.co.uk.
Yep.
And if your listeners want a really good game that last year we sold the most in the country of, called Dobble, Dobble.
What's Dobble?
It's a brilliant game.
Did you invent it?
Very simple, very clever, but great fun for all the family. From age sort of 6 and up, and there's one way you can even play with up to 55 people.
Blimey.
And I did it at a local school, and the head teacher was absolutely hopeless, which is quite interesting.
Mark, listen, really nice to talk to you.
It's not about your intelligence.
I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you. I love proper old-fashioned toy shops that sell wooden toys. Always spend a few more... Get less toys, spend a few more quid getting the wooden ones, please. Don't buy that plastic rubbish. Don't want any of that kind of bright, garish plastic stuff. I want the wooden stuff that makes a noise, that's got a bit of weight to it, that lasts. You can drop it down the stairs and it's fine. That's what it's all about. Forget the cheap plastic nonsense. Oh, wasn't he good? I liked him. Thank you for getting him. That was great. 03453 009956.
Darlaston,
Edgbaston,
Erdington,
Paisley, Gornal Wood. Have your say across the West Midlands.
BBC WM
95.6.
There's a few stories in the paper I wouldn't mind having a look at. Is that okay? Well, it'll have to be because we haven't got any more calls. If you want to call, now's a great time. By the way, you know, we're kind of in the random zone where you can call up about pretty much anything. This is just the best headline ever, isn't it? Sometimes when people write a headline, they must just high-five and go out and get coffees and donuts. Facebook chums save biker's bum. Come on, guys. A biker was rescued, motorbiker, not a bicyclist. I might start bicycling soon, because I'm going to go and see a personal trainer on Tuesday, once a week for 10 weeks. I've bought myself new trainers, because that... Yeah, I probably will rub and get blisters, but that kind of makes me feel like... I'm dreading it, to be honest. I'm so unfit. I've had a stitch for 3 years. I'm so unfit, and I'm going to go and see this woman, and she looks nuts in her picture. It's partly why I picked her, because she looks nuts, and I thought she is going to be no nonsense. She is going to dish it out. So I may or may not be here next week. We'll see how it goes. I may be in hospital somewhere. It's on Tuesday, and I don't know if I'd have recovered by Friday. I'm dreading it. If you've got any tips on what I should do, apart from cancel it, then let me know. Facebook chums save biker's bum. Oh, and there's a picture of the fella after he's hurt his bum. A biker was rescued by Facebook pals who raised £1,000 in 8 hours to save his left bum cheek. I've seen the picture, yeah. I couldn't work out. I'm struggling to work out what the picture is. I mean, I kind of know what... I know it's kind of the left-hand side of his bottom. Gary Towsey's rump was severed. Wow. In a 70-mile-per-hour smash on a motorbike he'd hired while on holiday in Cancun, Mexico. Why do people hire motorbikes and those kind of big buggy things? When we go to Zakynthos, there are people who have got no... I don't think they even have a driving licence. They just hire motorbikes and buggies and then drive around when it's 95 degrees topless. When he was taken to a nearby hospital, surgeons refused to sew it back on without the right insurance documents. The dad of one, 32, said, "I was screaming in pain, real agony." Yeah, he'd had his bum ripped open. Of course he's screaming in pain. Desperate Gary begged chums online before 50 clubbed together to stump up the money to save his rear. He was then stitched back together. Gary of Newcastle said, "It was lucky the hospital had Wi-Fi." Sorry? Why is that funny? I can hear you cackling through this soundproof glass. I can do Newcastle. He was lucky the hospital had Wi-Fi, or I might not be here today. I can't think me friends enough. I don't know why you're laughing, because Newcastle is one of the few accents I can do perfectly. Fitness coach, yes, I can. Fitness coach Gary was thrown from the bike when it locked up as he approached a bend. He added, "If I hadn't..." What? "If I hadn't had the operation, I could have died. Because I was losing so much blood. The other option would have..." Newcastle, I'm from Newcastle. "The other option would have been to amputate my leg." Now, don't laugh at that. That's the one I can do properly. And there's a picture. Get this, Mike. There is a picture of his buttock ripped open. You lot aren't very good at that, are you? Mike, what have you called in for?
I was called in about these chaps who've just been sent down for going over to Syria.
You lot aren't... This is the one thing I've noticed about all of you excellent callers to this station, OK? And I include you in this, Mike. You're all excellent, brilliant. I love talking to you, right?
Yeah.
But you can't do that thing where I'm saying one thing and then I go to you and there's silence.
Yeah.
OK. Mike, what have you got for us? Like that?
Well, it's a little story, really, that puts this in perspective. I mean, I always get angry about these young chaps.
Yeah.
That we've invited them into the country. The families have been invited into the country. Then they go off over there and do that sort of thing. But last year, I had to judge a bird show up in Scotland.
Oh, hello. Cheeky.
Yeah. I judged canaries. And obviously, when you've done the judging, you've got to go around talking to
canaries.
Enthusiasts, because they think you've got pearls of wisdom, you know.
Yeah.
And I was talking to this chap because I could see he didn't look very happy at all. In fact, you could tell he got depression and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so I got talking to him, where'd you work and all this sort of thing, and he's telling me he'd been off work for a year or so, and he'd just going back to work, he's hoping to start work. But it turned out that his son was killed in Afghanistan. He was in the army over there. He'd only been over in the army a couple of years or something like that.
Blimey.
And what had happened was... when his son couldn't get a job, he said, "Dad, what can I do?" You know, he says, I can't get a job anywhere up in Carlisle. And he said, "Well, son, there's only one thing you can do, really, is go in the army and learn a trade."
Yeah. Oh, blimey. So I get it. He felt responsible then, did he?
Exactly. But what happened as well, though, his son went over there, and he wasn't over there long, and he was killed. So they had the funeral over here. The army came over, gave him a good send-off. And he was at the wake. He was talking to the officer, and he was asking him. He said, "I can't understand why the British Army are over in Afghanistan." He said, "I'll tell you why." He says, "Because we can hear them talking on the radio. These people come from Lancashire and Great Britain." He said, "And that's why we're over there, because they shouldn't be there at all." He said, "And we've got to protect our own people as well." But what finally happened with this, because his son got killed, his wife and his family totally blamed him for his son's death.
Well, isn't that sad?
And he ended up being divorced, and then he ended up having a nervous breakdown. And that's the sort of thing why these people want to be sent down for as long. Well, they won't serve 13 years.
Yeah, these people want to be sent down if they are actually terrorists.
Yeah.
Do we know that these people that have been, these two gentlemen are actually terrorists? We've got some people arguing that they're not.
Well, I mean, the evidence appears to point to that, and we have to accept that, don't we? But you wouldn't go into a war zone, would you?
No,
you wouldn't want your children to go up into a war zone.
Hey, Mike, listen, while I've got you on, I've got to ask, if you don't mind, you go around judging bird shows.
Yeah.
What qualifies you to be a bird judge?
Well, I've been keeping them for 20 years, but we have to, in our particular organisation, we have to take tests in different stages, and then eventually we're allowed to judge canaries.
To judge bird shows.
Canaries, yeah.
And how do you tell a good canary from a bad canary? What are you looking for? Is it the manky feet? Will they lose points if they got manky feet?
Well, you're looking for the shape of the bird, the feather, the condition, how it presents itself, if all the claws are there, the shape of the wings, and all that sort of thing. There's a lot into it, and a good bird always shows itself because it's sort of saying, "Look at me," and it's the same with budgies and all varieties, but I happen to judge the colour canary section.
Is it true, Mike, that if I had some pigeon eggs, I could make those pigeons grow into pink pigeons? If I were to pour dye on the pigeon egg?
No, I wouldn't think so. But how they colour red canaries is they actually give them before they start feathering up properly, from when they're about 6 weeks to 2 months old, and while they're going through the molt, you give them a dye, which is a food dye, called Canthaxin, I think it's called it Caraphil Red.
Yes.
It's the sort of thing that they put in tomato sauce and all the food colourings, and eventually the red comes through into the feather.
Mike, thank you very much indeed. You can dye canaries red. I thought, maybe a pigeon expert would know this, I thought if you had pigeon eggs and you put dye on the eggs, it would seep through and you could have dyed pigeons. Does anyone know about that? 03453 009956 if you do. Dear. Story that we mentioned yesterday. Local story, it's in The Sun, isn't it? About Stephen Sutton's tree. Have you seen this? We mentioned it yesterday. He said, skipping past a picture of Miley Cyrus looking like an absolute plum. I think she's such an attractive young woman. What the hell is she doing with herself? Sickos trash cancer hero Stephen's tree. Fury over vandalism. Sick yobs have vandalised a Christmas tree dedicated to cancer hero Stephen Sutton. Hundreds of yellow ribbons have been tied to the fir in the £5 million fundraiser's hometown. But vandals struck days after the late teenager's mum Jane performed the switch on. They ripped off clusters of ribbons and broke the lights and branches. Why would anyone do that? Why would anyone do that? I can't understand why they do it. The thing is, the council, what are they going to do? The town council may put up a 2-metre fence to stop more attacks. That's it. That's the best thing they've got is a fence. Why would anyone do that? Isn't that crazy? Oh, we've all done a little bit of vandalism in our time, haven't we? I remember seeing a poster of, was his name Matt Marsden? Do you remember Matt Marsden? He was a thing for about 20 minutes, and I wrote a rude word on his forehead. On the poster, not the real Matt Marsden. That would have been highly inappropriate. But and I felt terrible afterwards. I felt so guilty afterwards. That's the only time I've done it. The only time I've done it. 03453 009956 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. You'd be more than welcome to. There's loads in the newspapers today. There's been a big complaint, hasn't there, about repeats over Christmas. But Christmas is all about repeats, isn't it? It's about showing a couple of films the kids haven't seen and then familiarity. We like familiarity. Don't you get familiar with me. I'm speaking to you. Yes. We like familiarity, so I'm not that bothered by all the Christmas repeats. And if your Christmas... It's nice, isn't it? If your Christmas is dictated by what you're going to watch on telly, then you're doing Christmas wrong. You're doing it wrong. It should be about the food and the conversation and talking to people and, well, that is conversation, isn't it? And family. Not what time are we watching Dad's Army, The Italian Job and someone die on EastEnders. Only Fools Boise. I like repeats. I like repeats, Marlene. No, guys, they're funnier than new comedy. Only Fools and Horses star John Challis would rather watch repeats than new comedies. Yeah, I wonder if that's because he gets paid. He probably... You're so loud, Joe, blimey. Can hear you rattling through here. He'll get paid repeat fees, won't he, for appearing? The actor who played Boise in the classic yet incredibly unfunny BBC sitcom Only Fools and Horses... It's a terrible programme, Fools. Oh, look, Rodney's... No, not Rodney. Del Boy's fallen through the bar and they've got the sheet under the wrong chandelier and that man can't say the letter R when he sings Crying. That's it, isn't it? Terrible. The actor who played Boise in the classic BBC sitcom reckons the Beeb is duty-bound to screen reruns of old favourites of Christmas. John's 72 years old. Sweet Lord. He's 72. Said they don't make comedy shows like that anymore. Not only Us, but Porridge and Dad's Army. That's why they get repeated so much, because people love them. He said many newer comedies don't work. Shows like Little Britain are painful to watch. I've never seen Little Britain. I've seen 2 bits of it. The one where Matt Lucas is dressed up as Mr. T. He's blacked up. Apparently that's all right now. And the one where he's in a wheelchair and David Walliams takes him swimming And while David Walliams is talking to someone, Matt Lucas gets out of the wheelchair and goes swimming. That's all I've seen. When they take the mickey out of people with disabilities, I don't find that funny. His comments come after the Mirror reported on Thursday that 63% of shows on the main 4 channels this Christmas will be reruns. Danny Cohen, the director of BBC Television, said more viewers want repeats than complain about them. A Beeb source said last night, people love old comedies, but they also love new ones like Mrs. Brown Boys. Mrs. Brown's Boys is supposed to be a comedy, is it? Is it? Really? You could have fooled me. It looks absolutely flippin' awful. Awful programme. I don't really like comedies I don't really like British comedies. Try and name a decent British comedy. You'd be hard pushed to. The Office was funny. Oh, did you see The Detectorists? Did you see that? That was good. About metal detectorists. I enjoyed that a lot. But the rest of it, load of old rubbish. 03453 009956. We're talking about, after that excellent call from a gentleman who judges budgerigars and canaries at competitions, I was questioning whether it's true you can dye pigeons. Well, I'm joined by Keith Mott. Keith, you've been racing pigeons for over 40 years.
Yeah.
They must be very tired.
Bit of a madman.
Can you dye pigeons?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, you can dye them with dye. You can also, budgerigars and canaries, you can change their colour slightly by their feed.
So we just heard this. So with the pigeons, do you dye them when they're in the eggs?
No, that's absolute rubbish.
Oh, all right. I believe, Keith, you've just owned me. So okay, so you could put dye on them when they're grown up.
Yeah, actually, some fanciers, because the hawks attack them in the sky, the peregrine falcons.
Oh yeah.
They actually they dye them with a pink dye on the back of their wings, and it seems to detract the hawk from attacking them.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, when they're flying, it seems to put them off.
Why pigeons, Keith? That seems such an old-fashioned... I think it's a great hobby, but it seems like such an old-fashioned thing to be doing.
Well, yeah, well, I don't know, really. I don't like golf. You know, it's but we're all different, I suppose. You know, I've been got some pigeons from a school friend and caught the bug, really, and now I do, my whole life's pigeons, really.
How many pigeons you got?
I've only got 12 pairs, that's all I've got, but I write in the British Home World. I've been doing that since 1972. I've been on telly 8 times with the pigeons.
And is your back garden like Jack Duckworth's, where you've got
certainly not. No, my loft, they're very smart. I haven't got a big loft. I'm a very tidy person.
They're in the loft?
Sorry?
They're in the loft, did you say?
No, it's called a pigeon loft, a shed in the garden.
Okay.
But, no, I've got quite a neat garden. You know, I don't... I'm very, very clean out twice a day.
Yeah.
Treat them well, and I just enjoy keeping a few pigeons, really.
And how many competitions are there? How does it work?
Well, we pair them up in January, February time, breed our babies, and then we start racing the old birds. They start racing inland in April.
Yeah.
And they progress right through to June, when they go to places like Pau in the south of France, 550 miles, Barcelona. And then them babies we bred in early in the year, August, September time, they start racing. They have about half a dozen races, and they go across the channel probably once. And then they molt from September through to November, and then December, January time, we have shows. We show them, showing. Got the big show at Blackpool in January.
Beautiful. 500 miles. That's a long... I didn't realise that you took them to foreign countries and released them.
Oh, yeah, they go right through France. I've done convoying for 9 years. I used to take them out. I used to take 3,000 pigeons out in the lorry.
Oh, flipping heck, mate. I bet that was noisy.
No, it's great. That's the gypsy in me, I suppose. I used to enjoy... not really gypsy, but I just enjoy going out, taking the birds out to France, living in a lorry. It was great.
Do you ever lose pigeons? Some of them not come back home.
Yeah, occasionally you lose one or two, but it's.
And are you attached? Are they like pets to you?
Yeah. Just all the individuals. They get to know you, and you're feeding them. They come up to you and feed out your hand, etc. But
do you love them, Keith?
Sorry.
Do you love them?
Love them?
Yeah.
not as much as my wife.
Oh, very tactical answer. Does she puts up with this nonsense, does she?
Oh, yeah. But her father was a pigeon factor, so she knew what she let herself in for when she married me. But now the pigeons fly... They fly from the south of France into Spain. A friend of mine that holds the record in the national, he had a pigeon 748 miles on the day. It was liberated in Tarbes, Tarbes that place was, in the south of France at 5:30 in the morning, and he got it in York at 10:05 at night.
Flippin' heck. Brilliant. Keith, listen, I appreciate your time. I've got to move on because I've got business. That was brilliant. Thank you for that, Joe. Thank you, Keith. I love stuff like that. 03453 009956. And stay there, come to you in a second. Let's get the travel news. Here's Liz.
Thank you very much, Ian. As you make your way around Sparkbrook in Birmingham, it's looking better now. That accident quickly cleared from Warwick Road to the A41 around Albion Road. It's still rather slow going in Sutton Coldfield, Chester Road North, the A452. Reddycap Heath Road is also very slow going as well around there. All approaches to the Burntry traffic lights in Dudley are a bit of a struggle, near to the supermarket and the pub. And around Albury, it's congested on all approaches to the Birchley Island. That's next to Junction 2 of the M5. Little spots of congestion on the motorways. You try and get off Junction 9 of the M6. Of course, you've got the retail park close by there as well. There's a lot of shopping traffic around today. The centre of Birmingham, inbound on the Aston Expressway is slow going, not helped by a breakdown earlier as you head towards Park Circus on the inbound side, but certainly around the Queensway and through the tunnels around Holloway Circus, that's all looking a little bit congested as well. Your matchday travel sees Baggies fans and probably want to get a bit of a move on, heading to Hull City today for their match this afternoon. The A38 not too bad. The M1 is a little congested in places. Of course, you've got the roadworks to contend with as well, 28 to 31. The M6, there's quite patchy slow traffic in the Knutsford area and towards the Lim interchange for Blues fans heading up to Blackpool. There was an accident around there, although I believe the lanes in the accident itself has been cleared. If you can update us, 08453 002288.
A new champion for the West Midlands.
Oh, you won't have forgotten Jo Collier's story. She's the mum of autistic twins, and she was carjacked. Remember that?
You know, I'm just absolutely, totally devastated. It's just it's just broken us as a family, to be honest.
A new hero for mid-mornings.
Didn't want any of our listeners broken as families, all because of some dispute about an insurance claim.
Danny Kelly.
Well, I decided to get a call in on this.
Morning.
Morning. What's the update?
Oh, I've got some wonderful news. Thanks to all you angels, common sense prevails, and as I'm talking to you, I'm awaiting a car to be delivered within the next hour.
Danny Kelly, weekdays from 9.
BBC WM
95.6.
You got texts. Have we only had 2 texts for the whole show? These are the only ones I can read that aren't rude. No more Newcastle accents, please, says Johnny. Sounds a bit... Newcastle. I'm from Newcastle. No more Newcastle, please. Sounds a bit Welsh with a bad intonation, twanging parts, says Johnny. I can do Newcastle. I can do Geordie. And then Justin says, I'm from Newcastle. I'm from Newcastle. I've just wet myself with Ian's accent. Please ask him to do some more. I'm in stitches here. I can do Geordie, Anne. It's one of the few accents I can do. Anne?
Hello?
You guys, why can't you do that here? When I'm saying something and they come to you.
I was just thinking about what I was going to say.
Okay. Would you like to hear... It turns out I've discovered this week I can do an excellent impression of Terry Wogan. Would you like to hear it?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
please.
this is really good. This is genuinely good. Oh, good morning. It's Terry Wogan here, and Alan Dedicoat, the voice of the balls. That is good. That is a good impression, isn't it, Anne?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yes, I do, Anne.
Crap.
Excuse me?
Sorry. Rubbish.
Oh, it's Terry Wogan here, and coming up next, it's Alan Dedicoat, the voice of the balls.
Oh, it's terrible.
You do better Wogan, Anne.
I can't. I can do a Brummie.
Go on then, do a Brummie.
I'm doing it now.
No, it's not a very good one, mate.
Oh, it is.
Can you do a Geordie?
Oh, no. I can... Oh, wait a minute. Is this a Scottish one or not?
I think it's a drunk one.
Oh.
Oh, I'm coming from Scotland, and it's very cold up here.
It is very cold.
It's very
There's some snow.
There's so much snow in Scotland. It's very cold. We didn't vote for independence. Oh, it's so cold.
No.
Oh, no, it's so cold in Scotland.
Yes, you should wear your sweater more often, you know.
Oh, I didn't know what you're saying, Annie.
Oh.
Hey, it's so cold in Scotland. Give my feet a good rubbing, won't you, Annie?
You what?
I said give my feet a good rubbing, won't you, Annie?
I don't want you smelling my head.
Oh, I can smell your head. Oh, my head's falling off. Well, there's the trail for this week's show.
Yeah.
And what would you...
Look.
Haters are going to hate that bit, guys. I can only apologise. What would you like to say, Anne?
Well, there was a comedy.
Yeah.
I think it was BBC.
Oh, yeah.
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 And it was called Early Doors.
Now, Anne...
Now, I don't know anybody except for the chap I spoke to when I phoned up who's ever seen it.
It's so funny you mention this. Last week, I was visiting my friend in Bristol, my friend Simon.
Yeah.
And while we were there, we were talking about something, and he went, "Did you ever watch Early Doors when it was on?" I said, "No, I haven't got a clue what it is." He says, apparently it was on just after The Office, but because The Office was so successful, Early Doors got completely ignored and no one saw it. So I'm going to go and I'm going to try and find it this week.
Oh, you must.
Yeah.
Oh, it is fantastic. Craig Cash is in it. I don't know who wrote it or he had something to do with it, but he's in it again. Craig Cash, out of the royal family.
Yeah, he's good, he is, isn't he?
Oh, it's brilliant, and there's these two coppers coming every week, as corrupt as corrupt. They're really good. It is the funniest thing you've ever seen.
You're right. The fact that that's been mentioned to me twice in less than a week means I am going to have to try and get that this weekend, I think, and have a little cheeky look at that tomorrow.
Oh, you'll love it.
But the majority of British comedy is rubbish, isn't it?
Yes. Rubbish. I never watch American comedy because it's falling over and then put the canned laughter on.
Oh, no, I like American comedy.
No, I never watch
I've been watching a great series called Community, which I absolutely love, which is very funny and very rude.
I like rude things, but I don't like American things.
I bet you do. Listen to this. Loads of emails about my accent. Harvey says, "That's an awful Geordie accent. You sound like Ranjit in distress." "Don't give up your day job," says Mike. "Oh, hey, look at this, look at this. Early Doors is brilliant, should be repeated."
Oh.
And Vajid says, "You sound like Billy Connolly with indigestion, you muppet." I think that Vajid's talking to you, Anne, because my Scottish accent was excellent. Yours was a little bit pony.
Was it actually, now you've mentioned my other fantastic man, Billy Connolly.
Thanks very much for calling. 03453 and it was funny. Aye, it was funny. Aye, I was doing a big jobby and it was funny. I was doing a big jobby and it was funny. I have to, when I do an impression, I have to physicalise the person that I'm doing. Oh, well, now we're getting calls about Early Doors, you say. I'd missed Early Doors when it went out. I think it was on straight after... Was it on straight after The Office, Lawrence?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And The Office was such a phenomenon, rightfully so, because it was brilliant, but the Early Doors got completely ignored.
Oh, it was superb, mate. It was brilliant.
Why was it so good?
It was all kind of dry humour, and it was really funny.
And it's Craig Cash who was in the royal family, which
Yeah.
Is it like...
I think Carolina Heard wrote most of it, some of it as well.
Because I used to like the royal family a lot, and then it got a bit silly.
Yeah, it was like... the later ones, it was a bit... some of it was funny and some of it was like, you thought, what?
So you would recommend, Lawrence, that we all go out and we buy Early Doors on DVD. I think there are 2 series of it, aren't there?
Yeah. It'd be number 1 in the DVD charts if everybody did.
Lawrence, let's see if we can make Craig Cash's dream come true and send Early Doors DVD straight to number 1. Should we have a little chat with... is Daz around? Is Daz... We'll have a little chat with Daz Hale and find out what he's up to. What fader would I find Dasamond Hale on? Look at you looking over your glasses like a wise old owl, eh? Like the owl from Bagpuss with Professor Yaffle. Professor Yaffle next door. 03453 009956 is the phone number if you want to give us a call. You can phone up and challenge me to an impression if you want. I can do pretty much any accent. Oh, look, now I'm getting sent loads of emails about early doors. We'll have a little look at that. We might have some of that. I think. Good morning, Daz.
Good morning. I can do Professor Yaffle. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. That's all right.
That's actually not bad.
It's good, that. And I could do Bagpuss.
Yeah, go on.
When he's waking up.
You really have got your finger on the pulse of modern culture.
And I'll tell you what, I'm in the early doors camp all day long. It was at Craig Ash. Peter Kay was the script editor of the first series.
Was he really?
And it's basically just set in an old-fashioned snug of a pub.
Right.
And you just get to know. Mark Benton was in it as well.
Oh, I'm getting that. I bet it's... right, I'm going to order that today.
Roddy Frame from Aztec Camera doing the theme tune.
Really?
Yeah, and it was a bit of pathos. Ken the barman. It was really good, really good.
Oh, I'm going to have some of that, because this has been mentioned to me like 4 times in a week now.
And there's a bit of pathos in there, there's a bit of dry humour, and I say, the same regulars in the pub, week in, week out.
You can get Series 1 for 86p on Amazon. Come on, guys.
We'll have that.
That's got to be worth it, hasn't it?
And they should repeat it, rather than seeing Only Fools and Horses for the 475th time, it'd be nice to see something like that, wouldn't it?
Flipping Fools and Horses. Utter rubbish. I tell you another series that was good, that was a bit dark, and I've just seen it because it's straight under early doors. 99.
Oh, yes, for Julia Davis.
It wasn't that good.
Oh, that was fantastic.
It was horrible.
And the guy out of League of Gentlemen was in it, wasn't he? Mark Gatiss, was it?
Yeah,
that was funny.
It was horrible, but it was brilliant.
Angus Deaton as well.
He was good in it, wasn't he? That's only £1.15. Oh, blimey, right.
I might have that as well.
Yeah, little cheeky spend-up. Daz.
Oh, yeah. Football. That's why I'm on, yes, football.
That's what you live and breathe for when you're not giving blood and crying like a baby.
I'm at Molineux. We're there from midday. Wolves game against Bournemouth. Big one today. That'll be live on DAB in the Black Country. Blues going to Blackpool. That'll be choppy up there today to meet their former manager Lee Clark. We'll have that live on DAB in Birmingham. Our FM commentary this afternoon. Biggest game of the season so far for the Baggies. Frankie and Rigo will be freezing at Hall. I told you. I bet Frankie's got his onesie on today.
Beautiful.
Villa Cup to come tomorrow, so we're building it all up from midday. Being as Blues are facing Lee Clark this afternoon, I want you to tell me, whoever you support, however long you've been watching your team, who's the best and the worst manager that you've had during your time supporting your club, and also sporting fathers and sons, being as Steve Bruce manages Hull, and he takes his son Alex with him wherever he goes. He just signs his son and he plays him. So sporting fathers and sons.
Is he allowed to do that?
He is. It's like when kids football, they always used to pick the sons, didn't they? The children. Yeah,
that's not fair. Come on, guys.
Can I finish with a joke? It's relevant to what you've been doing this morning.
The thing is, Daz, you say you label it a joke, but it's just going to be. Okay. Go on then, I suppose.
What's the difference between a kangaroo and a kangaroot?
Go on.
A kangaroo is a marsupial. A kangaroot is a Geordie stuck in a lift. Thank you. Can I hear tumbleweed?
See you next week, Daz. Unbelievable.
Iain Lee.
On BBC WM.
95.6.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black
Why doesn't
Country.
he just... look, I know I've only got a minute and 20 seconds left. Why doesn't he come on and just kill the show stone cold dead? I've never actually listened to Daz's show. Is it all like that? The hypnotic pickpocket. This is a great pickpocket. I meant to do this earlier. This is a great story. And I'm not sure how much I believe of this. Thief puts shopkeeper in a trance before stealing his cash. A hypnotist puts a shopkeeper in a trance by tapping his arm and picks hundreds of pounds from his pocket. I'm not convinced, but I used to be a hypnotist. Yes, I used to be a hypnotist. And you can't just tap someone on the shoulder and put them under. Maybe I wasn't very good. You're right, Joe, yes. CCTV footage shows the robber in a black bomber jacket entering the off-licence and brushing past Aftab Haider, who stands transfixed as the crook takes his cash. As Mr. Haider comes out of his trance, he realised his cash was gone and shouted, "Oi, excuse me!" But the assailant had fled from the store. The suspect had probably hypnotised Mr. Hadier in a previous visit and pre-suggested he would go into a trance, said one expert. Now, I am no expert, but man alive, I read a lot of books on this. I used to work at Paul McKenna, my first ever job in TV, writing for that guy. I'm not sure this is possible. It's the first time a crime of this type has been caught on film, and Scotland Yard hope to identify the man captured at the Hops and Pops wine merchants in Highgate, North London. I'm not convinced. He looks a lot like Peter Andre. I'm not saying it is Peter Andre, but maybe the police could save a bit of time by going straight to Mr. Andre's house and questioning him. Right, that's it. That's your lot, dear listener. I'm off to have a little doze in a service station. Imagine that, the glamour, the showbiz. Me squashed up in my little polo having a little doze in a service station on the M6. Thank you very much for all of your calls. If you want to get in touch in the week, send me an email, ian.lee@bbc.co.uk. I shall shut up. I'll be back next Friday at 2 o'clock. Thank you, producer Joe. Daz is up next. Ta-ta.
The voice of Birmingham and the Black Country.
BBC WM 95.6.
So Iain Lee then back.